Hello and welcome back to the channel for score predictions with a view. Not a bad view, is it? And yeah, we are on Thursday. It was supposed to go out yesterday. Unfortunately, time just kind of ran out a little bit. But we have been doing a weekly score prediction video, and we're going to do that now because there is a match tonight, France versus Namibia. We've got Argentina versus Samoa tomorrow, which we're going to be doing at the fan park. I'm going to be going to the fan park to watch from there, which is going to be very cool. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to be running through the fixtures. I'm going to be giving you guys some of my thoughts and some of my score predictions, and we'll revisit the video in a week's time, or rather you can revisit the video in a week's time. I tend not to do it because it's not been particularly good so far. I don't really want to relive the bad predictions. First weekend was pretty good from a fantasy perspective, but dreadful from a SUPERBRU perspective. So let's go through it, shall we? We start with France versus Namibia. Now the question is just how many tries, how big of a scoreboard are we looking at? New Zealand hammered Namibia very, very easily as well. So you expect a lot of tries tonight, and you expect a lot of points. The question is how many. Namibia have been pretty poor, to be honest. People talk about them being brave, and yes, it's a whole different golfing quality, different class teams really on display. But at the end of the day, Namibia just can't compete. So you're looking at France versus Namibia. I'm going to go with a 70 plus points difference. I do think that France, having gone basically full strength, are going to basically decimate them in every single facet of the game. I don't really see where they managed to cope, and I think that France are in need of a statement game. They beat New Zealand, which was a statement with regards to the opposition. Wasn't their best performance. Very good sort of last 20 minutes, which started to show their class. Then a bit of an iffy game against Uruguay, so they'd like to do a bit more. So I think this is going to be potentially their statement game. Tomorrow we've got Argentina versus Samoa. Again, I'm going to go with Argentina by 20. Argentina as well. Need a bit of a statement win after losing against England in their first encounter. They have had a couple of weeks break, so they need to come back and bounce back properly. So a bigger game coming up for them. Georgia versus Portugal should be an interesting one. Portugal not won a World Cup game. Georgia were a little bit disappointing against Australia, so hoping to see them sort of come to the occasion. I'm going to go with Georgia by 15. I'm not going to go too high. But I do think that the Georgians are a quality side that can get a job done on the right day. I was really disappointed. I thought they would really be able to push a struggling Wallaby side a little bit more than they did. But hopefully against Portugal on Saturday, they'll start to show us what they can do. So I'm going to go with Georgia by 15 points there. England versus Chile. Vamos! They are a team that are capturing the hearts of everyone here in France. A big travelling support, a lot of passion, a very cool team. And yeah, I'm on the lookout potentially for a jersey as well. I might actually put myself behind Chile. But England are playing well. They played against Japan and Argentina, which are the two hardest teams in their group, and they put them away relatively easily. George Ford's playing some brilliant rugby, and if he continues to show that form, there could be quite a lot of points. So I want to go England by 35 points. I do think Chile will score. I think they're a side that seems to know how to score, and I do think that they will find a way to score this weekend. But I do think that it will be quite a large scoreline. So I'm going to go England by 35. South Africa versus Ireland, very close game. The game of the weekend, arguably the game of the group stages, could even be the game of the World Cup. Very, very close to how I expect to see. I don't see more than 7 to 10 points at a push in terms of the margin. So I'm going to go South Africa. I'm going to back my South Africans. I'm going to go South Africa by 5. On Sunday, we then have Scotland versus Tonga. Scotland making their return to the World Cup stage after a week off. They're taking on a Tongan side, which weren't particularly impressive about a week ago. So I'm going to go with Scotland. I'm going to say Scotland by 15. I think the week off might mean it might take a while for them to get back into the swing of things. But if they can get going, I think they can definitely put 25 to 30 points past this Tongan side. I do expect Tonga to score as well. And I think they're a side that plays test match rugby these days. They'll take the points, they'll try and build, they'll go to the corner. They are very much, I think, a bit more of a test match side than they were traditionally. And then we've got Wales versus Australia as the last game of the weekend. We will actually be at that game. That is over in Lyon on Sunday night. And a big game. Wales potentially, well, currently topping their log. Win that game, not only will be in the quarterfinals, but they would have topped that log, which I'm not sure too many people would have thought about, or would have thought have happened, given all the sort of tumultuous time that Wales have had getting in here. But despite maybe not looking 100%, the results have gone their way. So I'm going to go with the Wales victory. I'm going to go with Wales by 6. I think this Australian side has got some good players, but I think they've really sort of struggled to settle in, and I don't see them pitching up and getting a result on Sunday. So those are my predictions. I want yours in the comments below. I want to know how you guys are doing in the SUPERBRU League. If you haven't joined it, go and join it. It is down in the description. And let's see how close I get, which is usually not very. But those are my predictions from here in Paris. Let me know what yours are.
Confidence in the management team with this split. And I think just in general, looking at the Ireland team, I see they've gone with the 5-3 split. So they've made it clear that they're not going to compete at all with South Africa. They're just going to have to stick to what they do. So for us, I think it's just going to be a power game. I don't see the ball going past 12, but yeah, we'll chat more about that. I just think South Africa's made a clear statement. We won up on them. I say the more haters speak about us, the more good we're doing in the sense of our innovation. For many years of rugby, I think South Africa was following the trend, and now we're setting the trend. So that's actually quite exciting.
Yeah, and your predictions for the game? How do you see it playing out?
So based on the Ireland team running through it with the 5-3 split, I just think if South Africa are somewhat ahead, let's say come 55, 60 minutes in, and we bring on those replacements, I don't see Ireland getting back in the game. So it's going to be critical that the starters, as they would call them, lay that platform. So we don't want Ireland to be ahead at any stage. But if we are, should we be ahead, my prediction is that we'll close the game off with what we have on the bench.
Yeah, it's going to be another interesting case scenario of the bomb squad versus who's on the field for Ireland, right? Yeah, Wes. So interestingly enough, the bookies have the books between 1 and 3 points favorites. So we got Ireland, the number one team in the world, haven't lost many in the last 2 years, beaten us last time out with only played them once in the last 5 years. Are Springboks the favorites, or what's your feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on a knife edge. I think if you look at form, I think the teams are probably quite evenly matched. I think obviously Ireland haven't lost a game, I think, in 15 games. So it's their longest winning record, I believe. But the Boks building nicely, not having the undefeated record that the Irish do. But I know I'm just waffling because I really don't have an answer in terms of are the Boks the favourites. Me personally, I think no. I think you have, if you're looking at form and history, that's what we're basing favourites on, then I think you have to say Ireland are the favourites just by virtue of the fact that they haven't lost a game in 15 games and they are pretty much full strength, more or less, right? Like if you think about starting selections, we've obviously lost Malcolm Marx, which is a massive blow to the Boks, and there's a few players, who aren't there, but yeah, I don't think Ireland will win, and that's probably my South African bias coming through, though. I do think the Boks will pip them, but I do think in general they should be the favourites going into it, given the form and the players on the field.
Chris, just to add on to that quickly, I think Ireland, in my opinion, as they say, they know how to win games. South Africa know how to win World Cup games.
Yeah, Roots. You took again. You've read my mind there, my man. I saw comments exactly that somewhere in one of the preview videos. Ireland
Great
at the moment. That's it, man. That's it. Yeah, exactly that. Ireland at the moment are kind of like the perfect system process team that justify their number one, and then you've got us that we are World Cup specialists, and we seeming to be peaking because I agree with I wasn't so optimistic and upbeat about the Boks as I know a lot of other people were, but it does look like we're timing and making a nice timed run here, and the team is looking good. However, saying that, like I said, whereas I would have had Ireland 1 to 3 favorites. I still think this is our test. This for me will show us exactly where the Boks are, and I still think Ireland are a far more polished team, and if we don't get a few things our way with this team, and with this, we're taking a risk. We could see ourselves in a little bit of trouble. But if it goes according to plan, we could easily run out 5-7 point winner. Scottsy, how do you see this going? What's your thoughts on this team? I know you probably discussed it Tuesday, but now that you've seen Ireland lineup, where's your head at?
Yeah, I think most of Tuesday's discussion was we got thrown off a little bit by what happens if our 13 is injured and we decided that it was that we'd just chuck one of the forwards. I think it was Kwacha would just go there and we'll figure it out. But no, I think it's as Wes said, it's on a nice edge. I think it's South Africa's to lose in the first half. I think we struggle. As soon as we go behind, we don't have that points advantage. At least by if we're more than 7 out at half time, I think we're going to struggle. But if we're within that striking distance of 5 points and under by the time the bomb squad come on, I think it's then ours to lose. So game of halves. I really like, to be honest, that Ireland have gone with the 5-3 split. I think it would have shown, it would have been quite funny had they gone a 6-2 split, just because
it would have given a lot away.
Them around World Rugby in general. Even the 6-2 split was getting the hate that the 7-1 split is getting at the last World Cup, right? So it's like, you doubt. It's like, and then if you can't beat them, join them, right? So fair play to them. They've jumped on board, like, and they're sticking to their guns, and that's how they've got to world number 1. So, fair play.
Yeah, that's exactly that. If they had gone a 6-2, probably everyone would have been okay, fair enough. But I mean, obviously a 7-1 would have been a complete, oh, we worried, yeah, we need to go match for match. But they are, like you said, sticking to their guns. And I think if they stick to their guns and have a good game, they're still going to be really, really tough to beat, right? I just don't know. I thought Jocks and Rassi were bluffing on the 7-1. I didn't call it, didn't see it actually happening at the biggest game of the year so far, right? Are you, like, do you guys have any thoughts? I mean, because, yeah, sure, we got these jack of all trades, but would you not want a Moody at 13 as opposed to Reinach in the last 20 minutes if Jesse goes down and Willems has to play 10? Or, I mean, how confident that you think this is actually going to work here? Do you think this is going to you guys think this is going to work for the books or backfire? You can have a shot, any of you, if you have a view.
I think for the sake of Ireland and their selection on the bench, they've obviously gone the smart route for them and their squad, and given themselves the best position to win, because, as we've mentioned and as people have spoken about it, if they're going to try and match South Africa with even a 6-2, I don't think they've earned the right to put a 6-2 bench on the field, let alone a 7-1. So they've been smart in their selections, I guess, for the sake of them. And they are the most technically sound team behind the French, I would say, in this tournament. But then you kind of look at Rassi and Jacques, and you find them to be just that tad smarter. So who's going to be the smarter one on the night? I'm backing Rassi and the boys, because South Africa are playing to their strengths, and we are not hiding it in the least.
Yeah, and we'll leave this for the end of the show, because I think we need to bring out the whole moral aspect of this 7-1. We'll do that later. I'm happy to throw my name down the gutter again. Done it already. But we'll discuss it at the end of the week. But it is an interesting conversation, because it obviously extends to the rules and what Matt Williams was saying about the younger guys who will potentially want to copy this. But we'll discuss that later down the line. And interesting you say game of 2 halves, guys. We'll get to when we get to my betting segment. I've called the exact same thing. I think Ireland are not changing anything, but we're getting one hell of an Ireland blitz in the first 30 minutes. And I'm liking the bet that Ireland are ahead at halftime, because I think they know that's the best way they're going to beat us. And I think they're going to go hammer. They're going to take it out of the New Zealand playbook in Albany, and they're going to go for it. So we'll discuss that later. So I think we'll see how that goes.
Chris, if I can jump in there, like, if you look at the Scotland game, right? I mean, Scotland came out firing in the first 20, 25, 30 minutes in the first half, right? Really noticeably in that first 20 minutes. And they kept us, was it 6-3 at the half, or 3-0, or whatever it was?
Yeah,
it was
6-3, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so a 3-point difference there in the first half, and they were able to contain, the Springboks. And then obviously it opened it up, and Marnie Lebok's lovely cross kick. So, and that's Scotland, who I think we can, objectively say aren't as good as an Irish team. So an Irish blitz, and no disrespect to Scotland, they were 5th in the world at the time. I'm just saying, compared to Ireland. So I think, looking at an Irish blitz for 20 minutes, that's a different kind of blitz. So we'll have to see. But just having a quick chat here, PVN saying 7-1 split decoy for another trick up their sleeve. Everyone can focus on that, but they don't know what next surprise will be. So that could be another ploy as well, right? They revealed one hand, with the 7-1 split against the All Blacks, and now all of a sudden it could be something different.
Well, we can't actually write that off, I think.
No,
honestly,
you can't.
Not against the All Blacks. Billy pulled out and was replaced during the warm up. I mean, I don't know what the rules are around, checking that the person you pulled out on the during the warm up or on the match
Yeah.
day is in fact injured. Like who's there to validate that? You know?
Yeah.
I hear you, Scalzi, but I think I'm confident to say Rassi and them have studied those rules. They've got medals for those
Yeah,
rules.
no, they know.
But it's so true, because a lot of players are going down in warm-ups. So Italian Cup 3, I've noticed 3 gone down in warm-ups lately, more than usual. So I think the mind games are very, very at play here, because team selection is important. I mean, everyone's just like, wow, we get it, okay? Springboks bring the team out early because they say they don't like it to be leaked, because eventually it does. But things change, and I mean, obviously, it does feel like it gives the other team an advantage to really study and really try to understand what's going on. But how often does it change? So yeah, I do like the justification that if all these guys know at Monday what they got 7 days, they don't have to be like, am I playing until Thursday, because they're trying to hide it. I think that has actually really, I think they did that, and it seemed like it's worked, right? Because the guys, even the players, have said they love the fact that they know on Monday, the public know, they can just get to work, So yeah, gonna be an interesting game, and in a great way. At least it's not fatal, right? At least it's not the end of the road. It'll be lovely. It'll be lovely if we do beat them and get the Scots put a hell of a lot of pressure on them, and then we can see them possibly later in the final, But anyway, yeah, we'll move on to the other games for the weekends. I know I don't know if you guys touched on, we obviously got France, Namibia tonight. France picking a decent side there. I think poor Namibia, New Zealand straight into France. I think that's going to be a bit of a long. I think France have to prove, this is typical France. Beat New Zealand, struggle Uruguay, massive win. I see a massive win for Namibia. Do you guys feel the same way?
What's the spread on the Namibia-France game, Chris?
It's like 76, high 70s, I believe. Very high.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night, I think, for the Namibians. I mean, I think France saw what they left out on the field against Uruguay, not getting
Sorry, I apologize. It's 69. I thought it was higher than that, but it's 6. The All Blacks were 72. That's quite interesting. You'd think All Blacks had more changes, but France looked like they're about 70% strong, right? 80% full strength, I would say. Dupont's playing.
Yeah.
Janabed, wings. Yeah.
He's back. It's huge. Yeah. No, I think they saw a huge missed opportunity on the bonus point against Uruguay. I mean, you really don't want to be leaving those out there and leaving up. I mean, I guess the side of the draw dictates South Africa or Ireland for them, so it's not massive, but you still want to end up your group at first. You don't want to be overtaken because of a bonus point system that's working against you. So, long night is going to be ahead for me. Yeah, no,
I agree. I think we all agree with that. I think we could go. Anyone got anything to add onto that game, as we can move on to quite an interesting group, the Samoa and Samoa and
Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina. Sorry, thank you very much. Yeah, Argentina. That's going to also be another cracking game.
I mean, I think there, Chris, I'm really looking forward to see what the Argentines can do. Right. I mean, I think we were all quite disappointed, and not just only because they had an opportunity to rain on England's parade, but it was just more the case of there's some sort of kinship with the Argentines being in the Championship Rugby, right? Being in the Southern Hemisphere. And I think we were wanting them to do well for a number of reasons. So I do think, I hope that they've had a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror, and they've been working hard on the training ground, and they come out and attempt to make a statement. Now, Samoa is not going to take that lying down, right? Interestingly, actually, Samoa's got the best record against Argentina of any Pacific Island nation. So they've got history on their side. But this is a different Argentine side since they last played. So no, it's going to be a good match to watch.
Yeah, Roots. How do you? I mean, the cap year is 13 points, and I know Samoa have they only played 11 tests, I believe, since the last World Cup, and you could see that against Chile, right? That first off was typical. So I was chatting with my friends watching it. We got everything that Samoa had offered in that game. Not head not in it, mistakes, physicality, yellow cards. We got everything. Some brilliant tries. So, Rudes, how do you see after the back of Argentina's probably let's face it, probably one of the worst performances since like the 90s. I can remember that was Argentina of old. They hadn't been that not solid, or at least putting up a fight. How do you see this one going? Because I think it's far more closer than 13 points, because I think for me, Argentina will struggle if Samoa have had their run out. I feel they've got their green one under the belt, and I think they're going to give RGs a run. What do you think, Rudes?
Yeah, Chris, I hear you on the spread there in terms of history suggesting Argentina will take this one comfortably. If you say 13 points, I think what's interesting about the tier 2 nations, from what I'm seeing, is like they're able to put together maybe 50, 60 minutes of good rugby. And then from then onwards, I think the teams that are playing more often, as you mentioned, are able to put the full 80 minutes together. So that's becoming evident. So I just hope that Samoa catch Argentina at a time where they actually lost to a very average England team, if we can be honest. All those drop goals, something out of the ordinary, if you could say. But yeah, England never really offered much on attack, in other words. So for Argentina, they could use that as motivation. They are a very passionate side in terms of using their emotion to gain ascendancy in the game. But I think, if anything, Samoa do have an opportunity in this game, but they're going to have to put together more than 50 minutes. So coming out the blocks firing won't be enough. But there is a bigger possibility from what we've seen in the World Cup so far, tighter games than we've ever witnessed. So for these tier 2 nations, I think it's quite exciting. So yeah, there is an opportunity. So I think 13 is flattering Argentina a bit. But the Argentina we know in Super Rugby should be the Argentina that puts Samoa away comfortably. But we're at the point now where it's actually quite interesting, yeah?
Yeah, I agree. Scotty, I don't know if you've seen some team news. I see SUPERBRU's out, Danny Tuala's on the bench, Jordan Tofua's on the bench. Obviously, no Lavanini for Argentina. Creamer and Matera were really going, trying that anyone seemingly cared the other day. On the back of some big names out there, are you seeing an Argentina come back and winning comfortably, or at least winning, I suppose?
Yeah, I think that it's got to be right for them. It'll be a very, very sad day for Argentina rugby, seeing the progress they've made, especially starting off the season beating Australia. You know, in Australia, that was massive, and they instantly kind of became a top 6 contender in everyone's heads after that. Maybe it was because Australia are, a bit average, but it was still a statement win. And I think that when we saw how much England struggled, and then the red card, and they just did not show up on the day. I would love to see that game replayed out 15-15, whether that had any effect on how they went about the business. If they, in their heads, they would say, okay, well, now it's signed, sealed, and delivered. But yeah, I think unless Samoa, really put out all the stuff, missing SUPERBRU is massive. But I see Argentina, pushing through here, because I think they'll be kicking themselves if they're not getting out of this group.
Yeah, and a quick one. Do you guys think the winner of this match is the team going through, or is Japan still going to have a say at the end of the day?
You can't rule them off here. I think if it's not a convincing win for Argentina, you start doubting then that Argentina and Japan's
it's going to be.
I mean, they held the English for what, 60 minutes, until it was a bit of a fallout when Joe Marler started exposing new rules in the rugby book and United. I reckon Rusty's a little bit bummed that Joe Marler's found out that rule before he did. I reckon he was holding it back till the final. There was a move planned out. Jesse Creel threw it over.
Yeah.
I think Japan is still in it, definitely.
Well, we mentioned 4 teams. Roots, Chile. We had Chile to beat England, didn't we? What's going on? Let's move on to England versus Chile on the England side. Are we still reckon Chile have a chance, or are England rebuilding their reputation? Yeah, we're going to have to call that biggest upset in World Cup history off the table now.
Chris, I would love to see some sort of upset like that. I just think it's exciting, as we've mentioned before, just for Chile being at the Rugby World Cup. Each and every player, I know there hasn't been a lot of emphasis from the media perhaps on the smaller nations, but when they do get the opportunity to be in the limelight, you can see what it means to them, their families, etc. So I think taking away from the game for Chile, I think just being part of the experience. I know England is a much more average side than we've experienced before in World Cups, but it should obviously be a clear win for England, and that puts them in a good place to obviously end first. But for Chile, just being part of the World Cup, who knows when they would be able to qualify again. So this is some sort of once in a lifetime, yeah?
Yeah, it was an amazing fairy tale story how they got there, hey, in the qualifications.
I think it was that last game against USA in the 80th
Correct.
minute, and there was a scrum, there was drama, there was everything. So
yeah, it was,
what a story.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of, you think USA will be a power, so maybe they still will be running into their World Cup, but does feel a bit weird that it's Chile over. This could be USA in this group, but this could have been one hell of, well, kind of the older USAs of the teams of old. This could have been one hell of a pool of death with the current state of these teams. I don't know. Do you have comments on the team that's been picked, Rudes, before we move on to Wes? And they've obviously made changes. Farrell's back from his ban. I quite like Arundel, Marcus Smith all starting. That's more firepower out there. Do you have comments like that, or do you think this is just this is the time to ring the changes, get these guys a go? Do you have any comments on the team?
I think it's always probably been, in my opinion, an opportunity for the coach now to get Owen Farrell back into the team. This is not a game where England have to be too concerned, but I think they want to, with all due respect to Chile, go through their functions as a team and set themselves up to also try and be a little bit more attacking. I know when we get to, should they qualify first or second and go through to the knockouts, it's not all about tries. But I think for them, the ability to practice that and get that right would be important, because they also need to have that in their arsenal. But for England, I wouldn't say an easy day at the office, but definitely the guys coming in, if you look at the Farrells and Marcus Smith, maybe Marcus Smith perhaps a third choice fly off at the moment based on Ford's performance. But they wouldn't be the starting guys come knockout time. So it's difficult to judge. I think just for England, confidence in more attacking play would be important for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they just need to get the job done and in the way they expect. What are your thoughts here? What are we thinking? Farrell has a good game. Has he played his way back into the starting 15? What does that mean for George, or is he getting himself sent off in the first 25? We'll put some money on it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Farrell's just coming back in just to get some rugby under his belt and back into the system. I mean, I personally like the look of the New England side without him. Like, I think just from a culture and an energy and an outlook perspective, they seem to be a different side. They seem to be more positive. It was just, it wasn't the England of old. It wasn't anything great, but I do think it was better than what we were seeing with Farrell. Now, I can't pin all of it on him. I think that's unfair to him. But it'll be interesting to see just the culture, the spirit, the energy around the team against Chile, and especially if things, maybe are a bit tighter than they're expecting. But I was liking what Rudy was saying there about, they will be looking to try and hone their attack, because they've looked non-threatening with ball in hand, right? I mean, again, George's forwards, drop goals and it kind of opening up against Japan towards the end. At no point do you go, oh, that's a scary back line, or, they electric there, they can pull something out and they can score from anywhere. Like you look at Ireland, I mean, goodness, both wingers and Bandiaki in the form of his life, like, it's a threatening backline. With the England backline, you feel like just have a solid defense and they'll make a mistake eventually. So I think they will be looking to try and pull out some dagger moves, some real sort of knife to the throat kind of stuff and execute well. Now the Chileans will have other thoughts, obviously, and they've done excellently to rain on other teams' parades, to show up and play with such spirit. What I've enjoyed about them as well, for the most part, is they've just got on with the game. Uruguay last night, I did feel like there was a lot of hands up in the air and to the referees and officials and other players, and it was just getting a bit much, which we not expect from certain sides, but maybe is more understandable. But I've just liked the Chileans' attitude of we're just here to play rugby and we're going to try to play good rugby. So
yeah, no, I agree. And Scotty, any one thing you want to add to that game, that pool, before we move on?
I think it's lucky for England to have had the Chile game, seeing as it's probably the easiest in their group, at the same time that when Owen Farrell comes back. Because had this been the Argentina game, the third game, and George Ford still started as hot as he did, and then they brought him in, it would have been a completely different discussion, right? It would have been Farrell replacing Ford as opposed to Farrell given a chance now that he's back. Whether that's still the thinking, we won't be sure until probably Japan, whoever gets picked for that, because I mean that's not a walkover by any means. I mean, sorry, not Japan. Who would their last game be? Versus
Who, Chile?
Is this? Oh no, this won't be their last. No, versus
England. Samoa. Yeah.
So I mean, who they pick for that, and then the subsequent quarter, I think will obviously give us a better idea of whatever that pick is. But I agree. I mean, I think they've still got a lot to prove offensively. There seems to be a bit of an energy, which is what we didn't see in all the warm-up games, which I imagine is what you're referring to, Wes, and there seems to be some sort of spark. They're fighting for something which you still want to see out of an England side as much as you want them to lose, from a South African bias. So yeah, I mean, if we continue to see that, I think it'll be a good game. But yeah, we'll never not support a Chilean team.
Of course. Yeah, well, kind of backtracked, even though there's no justice in the fact that the top four sides on the wrong side of the same side of the draw. It's kind of made every pool a bit more interesting, like this pool and the George, Australia and Wales pool, right? It's making it interesting. It's making it competitive. Yeah, we're going to lose teams we don't want to the quarterfinals, but every quarterfinal is going to be competitive. Well, even if it's Australia, England, or whatever they're going to be, they're all going to be cracking quarterfinals in their own rights. So it kind of made it interesting, even though you would have pretty liked to have seen those top four duel it out quarterfinal. But whether they played in the quarterfinal or the final or the semi, you still have to beat them, right? So I've turned my opinion on this draw, but I wouldn't want to see it again.
I don't think Scotland are holding the same opinion.
Yeah, I've got some Scottish connections, and they wanted to be so excited about this team, and they should be, and they should have. But then obviously look at that draw, and it's like, it's really going to be really tough. Before we get to the betting segment, we'll just quickly touch on the Georgia-Portugal game, guys. Georgia 14 points favorites there. Is that right? I mean, for me, Georgia haven't been too impressive. Do you just think that Portugal had a great performance against Wales, or do you just think the Georgians are going to be too physical for Portugal in the end? You guys have any comments on that game?
Yeah, I mean, for mine, very quickly, I just think the Georgians will be physical, and they've got more experience than the Portuguese side. The Portuguese coming back since 2007. So, I think you've got to go with Georgia as the favourites. But, we saw some innovation from the Portuguese with that lovely tryout from the line-out. So, maybe they'll be looking to unleash their own 7-1 surprise, if we can call it that, or whatever they might unveil at the game.
Yeah, the Reds of Dosta. Do you see a potential upset here? Obviously, Portugal winning would be an upset, but do you see that happening?
History, as it would have it, Georgia have had the upper hand over Portugal in their Rugby Europe Championship Tier 2 tournament. I think Georgia, just with their World Cup experience as well, will come out on top. But then again, Portugal also showed that spirit that we talk about from the underdogs against the Welsh. And I mean, Wales only pulled away there by 20 points, if I'm not mistaken. Something we wouldn't have expected. But just for the sake of Georgia and Portugal, yeah, I think it's not a comfortable Georgia win. It's going to be one of those games that people must tune into, because it's the lesser opponents, I guess, Tier 2 versus Tier 2. And the more support we get, the better. Obviously, me saying that I'll be doing the watch along on Saturday, so do tune in to that game, everybody. But yeah, Portugal, they'll be excited. I think they've only been at the World Cup once in 2007. So maybe that experience in World Cup tournaments for Georgia will count in their favour.
Yeah. Scott, anything to add before we move on?
I've actually just gone and had a look at the poll on the Forever Rugby group, and it's a split 4-4. But with that said, Steve's voted on both sides. I don't know if that means it's a draw or what it is. So I think maybe it's a bit of recency bias, because we saw the impressive display from Portugal against Wales. Like, no one really expected Wales to get shaken by that. And yeah, you saw, I guess, a bit of the innovation with the line-up move that eventually saw Portugal score. So, I mean, I voted Portugal. I'd love for them to win. It's one of those teams you actually don't really want either of them to lose, right? They both of them very likable, play with passion. You want these types of teams to lay foundations that build rugby in those countries, which then eventually they can become the likes of a Japan, where they are, have the capacity to be the tier 1 nation. So, I mean, I've gone with Portugal. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think I've enjoyed the tier 2 nation games more than a lot of the tier 1 nation games this World Cup. I think it's been incredibly competitive, and seeing the way, and maybe it's also just the way the pools have been split, but it's given them the platform, and it looks like every single one of them are taking it. Maybe a little bit less, but I mean, you got to feel for them with the
And on that, actually, there's in the comment again, PVN saying there was talk about smaller teams coming strong into the World Cup. I do not see that. I'm from Namibia, actually appointed one of the Namibian front row players at my company. He works full time and weekend. And then he goes on to say not enough money in tier 2 nations and not enough grassroots. So yeah, I mean, these teams, face massive challenges, and that's, I think, why everyone is like shocked or so stoked for Fiji. So traditionally a tier 2 or on the cusp of nation, and with how much resources they have and how much time to play rugby, it's phenomenal what they've been able to do. And I think there does need to be better effort by World Rugby. I don't quite know how you do it, but to get these emerging nation sides, is we on one of my streams, we didn't like the term tier 1 and tier 2, so we called them emerging nations. Bit of woke nonsense there, but so these sides that are up and coming, and how do you support them? And then PVN says there's just not enough money, and then grassroots, you can't, even if you chuck all the money, where does that money go? And so I think they definitely, I would disagree with PVN. They're saying he doesn't see the teams coming in strong. I think they have been. I think the sides we classify as tier 2 emerging nations, they've given good teams a run. As we said, Portugal against Wales. Fiji upsetting Australia. Like I think there's good moments. Obviously, not every side. Romania's had an unlucky time. And it's just also your pool, right? And Romania, Ireland, and South Africa, and then Namibia, New Zealand, and France. That's tough stuff.
Yeah.
To add on to that, way, sorry, I think something I saw recently, which at least I found, step in the right direction from World Rugby, is that in fact the champions of the World Cup don't receive any more money than any other team. So there's a pot that's actually split entirely amongst all the teams, and they all receive an equal share of that, regardless of how far they go in the tournament. So that is great. Obviously, it's not enough, But I thought that was a really nice approach taken by World Rugby to at least do that. But the issue isn't the prize at the end of the 4 years; it's the 4 years in between, right? And bridging that gap. And I mean, I don't think South Africa, to be fair, is doing enough to bring up any of the other African rugby teams. How many more times can you use like an SAA team to go and play Namibia, on an international break, or Kenya, even varsity teams? Obviously, I think a lot of these Namibian players have played in South African Varsity Cup and have gone through those systems. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, and you never want to have 80-0 games, and to see less of those is only going to benefit rugby and how we watch it. So hopefully, at least the split pool is a step in the right direction.
But this does lead. I think this could be a whole other segment on its own around how World Rugby is handling these guys, these nations, right? Because we see this. We always say we enjoy it when we see them at the World Cup and we see them having a go. Yeah, they do end up one-sided, but they will keep saying, well, how can we compete if we don't play at this level often enough? And obviously, it looks like are we heading to a world season, global rugby world season? And then how do you, when it comes to international windows, where you're going to fit? There's the money issue, obviously, because obviously a tier 1 test, a full house tier 1 test brings home the bacon, right? So how they going to fit it in? But I really hope they can find a way. I've always thought of a relegation promotion type of situation within the rankings. So like a team that has worked its way up into the top 10 does get the right to earn 3 or 4 tests. Maybe I don't know if it's in a league system. I don't know, just hypothetically. But I would. I think it would only do World Rugby a much better service if these guys had the opportunity to play against the bigger teams, right? It's natural. We've seen it with the Jaguars. They went to the final Super Rugby. Argentina were beaten New Zealand and the Boks in Argentina. Fiji did pretty well, are improving. Now look at Fiji, right? When you guys play rugby, you played 4th team practice and you went to 2nd team practice, you upped your game, right? So I think that's how it works. And I'm going to go into the betting segment before we do the last couple of games, and we'll talk about some of the potential talking points of the week. So I'll bring up the betting slide. Whoops. There she is. So we've lost Rude, so I hope he comes back. Wait for him to come back.
Quite time to leave yet.
Yeah, so we had another winner last week. We had Japan plus 22.5 versus England, won by 22. So that half a point brings that bet home if you understand the handicap betting system. So we were given basically 23 points. So that extra points wins you the bet. So that's another winner. Only had the one bet. Moves us into the 20 units profit, which is lovely. Cruising around there, 54% return on investment. Like we said, we'll take that any day of the week, even when it's at 40 or 30, we're smiling. So the 2 bets I've got lined up for this weekend. I mentioned it earlier. I like Ireland. I think unless Rassie and Jacques have a plan up their sleeve that they're going to blitz Ireland in the first half, which could happen, but I don't see that. I just don't see Ireland not coming out strong to hold that blitz anyway initially. So I'm going to take the punt. I'm going to take Ireland 1.5 points at halftime. That's again the cap. So even if the book's up by 1 point, this bet will come home. So yeah, I'm going to back that. It's going to be a tight first half. It could easily be a draw. It could be like 9 or 12 or type of scoreline at halftime. And yeah, I'm going for Samoa. I think that's too high. I think Samoa ought to play for big can hold the RGs. I think RGs maybe win, but win between 1 and 10. I don't think they separate themselves. I think Samoa, if they can keep their discipline going, we'll keep Arg close. But definitely expect an Arg fight back for sure. I see a completely different Argentina team, so it'll be interesting to see how Samoa handle that. But they got the cavalry to do Samoa. It's just like it says, it's the cohesion. You could see that first half. They look like a team on their first practice run. So like looking for the runner, throwing it anyway if they're not there. So, but yeah, those are the two bets. So if you're following, good luck, guys. Yeah, hopefully we roll on again and keep our profitable weeks going. So yeah, good luck with that. And we'll now move on to the final games. Quickly do previews of the final games of the week for the weekend. We've done Ireland on Saturday. We move on to Sunday. We can quickly touch on Scotland, Tonga before we go to Wales, Australia. Scotland, Tonga, guys. Do you see any surprises there? Obviously, Scotland should be the favourites there. Tonga were a little bit disappointed against Ireland, weren't they? I expected more, but it is Ireland. If you're not a good team, you're going to get squeezed out of that game pretty quick, pretty fast, right? Do you think Scotland, like Wales, are another team that love to go a bit down for the minnow games? And if you notice, like some teams just drop their standard with the minnows. Others, like South African Ireland, will put minnows away quite comfortably. So, do you see a surprise here, or as you like Scotland go on? Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly dynamic game, right? Tonga, Scotland, both we're going to love throwing the ball around. Tonga's going to be physical. I mean, they both actually have pretty physical teams. You even saw how Scotland were able to hold up against the Springboks for the whole first half. 6-3 at halftime. They were clapping us in scrum. So I think it's going to be a great contest. I do see Scotland running out. Everyone's kind of. It seems when you get that bye week, you lose. Everyone kind of forgets about you for a second, but they still want to be in this World Cup as much as any other team, and feel like they're going to have a point to prove. And they know that the only way that they get out of this group is that they get bonus points, especially in the games against Tonga. So it's going to be flat foot down, and I'm really excited. I think Finn Russell is also going to enjoy not having Peter Steff running at him.
Yeah. I see the comments. I just think Scotland here, Wes, just got an all-round team that will. We've got Wes there. Welcome back, son. I think Scotland just going to have the goods, right? Probably, you think of Tonga, you think of physicality, but I still think Scotland are just the structured, bit more quality will come to the top, right, Wes?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think they will be looking to turn up and put in a big performance. I think Tonga, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the last weekend their first run out in this World Cup? So they'll, also that first game and everything gets a bit nervous and whatnot. So they'll be looking to tidy things up a bit. But I do think the Scotland coming into the World Cup, that we've seen over the last couple of games should put away the Tonga side. But that should is a big word.
Yeah, Rudes, when you went away, we just quickly did the betting segment, so you didn't miss too much except for a couple of winners there if you want to join on the bet and train there. But Rudes, Scotland, Tonga, how do you see that going? We all say we're predicting this is a must win for Scots. They should get through, or do they get sucked into a dogfight with Tonga, even though Tonga weren't as what we thought they would possibly be against Ireland, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part, Tonga were a little bit disappointing against Ireland. But then again, we come back to the amount of games these guys have played in comparison to the Ireland and Scotland. I think for the sake of continuity, Scotland just have that cohesion in their team that will overcome Tonga. So Tonga will be relying on some sort of upset so they can latch on to the past of Rugby World Cup upsets. But I'm not sure if they have that cohesion. I didn't see much of that against Ireland to threaten Scotland. For Scotland, it's a non-negotiable after they were mauled against the Springboks. And I think overcoming this Tonga game might give Scotland then the confidence for the Ireland game, because this group is by no means settled. In my opinion, South Africa will beat Ireland on Saturday and we'll end up first. But that second spot is still available. So for Scotland, they shouldn't be entertaining Tonga for too long. Again, I think they'll close the game off come the 60th minute onwards, because Tonga sort of come out the blocks. The fans are behind them. We all are behind the underdogs. But Scotland are the fifth best team, as we know, for a reason, and they just have the opportunity now to lay a marker for that game against Ireland and say, look, this will be an arm wrestle. We want that second spot.
Yeah, and on these specific island teams, a few months back or a few weeks ago before the tournament, Steve and I were discussing the hopes of potentially Fiji. And I made the point, well, I mean, yeah, we'd love to see them make a run, but I always said they're a 50, 60-minute team and the wheels fall off and they get loose and they're full of tackles. But it's Fiji that aren't. Fiji are putting together closer to the 70-minute performances. I still worry that Tonga and Samoa go missing for 20, 30 minutes at least in a game. These guys often do that. They just battle to keep their discipline for some reason. Their minds go off somewhere else, into the mountains or something, and they go off track, and then they pull themselves back together and they score a beat. But that's my point is that's the weak. I still see Tonga a weakness for Tonga, probably what will hold Samoa ultimately going forward as well. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend, Biggie, Wales versus Australia. So yeah, very interesting roads to this game for both teams, right? So what we're saying, if Wales beat Fiji and Fiji beat Australia, Wales are beating Australia. Is that right, Scotty? Or what's going on here? Is Stevie joining old Eddie for some croissants next week, and they're going to try it over there over a few cheesy croissants?
I mean, I'm sure Stevie would love that. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean, people speaking South Africa, Ireland game of the weekend. I think this is the game of the weekend. When there's consequences involved, you raise the game by that next level, right? These two essentially are fighting for a qualification spot. It's a knockout game for them, and expecting that they're going to win the rest of the games, which is also not guaranteed but expected. This is their toughest challenge. I think Australia will win. I think they will bounce back. I think Eddie, short-term fixer, knows how to come up with the game plan. I think Wales got away with it against Fiji. I think Fiji slipped up a little bit. I think Fiji should have beaten both teams. They managed to get it over the line. Thank goodness, as someone who wants Fiji to succeed more than Wales or Australia. But I still think Australia are the next best nation, and I think they'll get through. And I think 7-10 actually, unless Dan Biggar has an absolute day, which he's highly capable of. But yeah, no, I'm putting my faith in Australia.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've also got some opinions. I might leave it today because I'm very curious to see what Wes thinks about this game. What's going on here, Wes? Talk to us.
Yeah, no, I'm against Scotty over there. I think Wales will take this one. Yeah, I just think again they've not been in fantastic form, but they've been in better consistent form than Australia. Oz just have struggled to find any sort of rhythm, any sort of consistency. I mean, the number of captains they've had, I think, Drew Mitchell very eloquently was telling us how many captains and whatnot that they've had over the last couple of games. On that quickly, I feel like, fair enough. I understand why he has to apologize. Kids will look up to him and this, that, the next, but you can see it's coming from a place of passion where he genuinely cares about the sport, his nation, and their success. But yeah, I think, selections, not selecting Michael Hooper, not selecting Quade Cooper, this might be where the chickens come home to roost, and I do think Wales are going to take it. I think they were lucky to come away with a win against Fiji, and they weren't solid against Portugal. However, in the start against Fiji, when they took Fiji, to task, they looked good. It looked like a good Welsh side, and if they can get that good Welsh side on the field, and therefore 70 odd minutes, 80 minutes, I think Australia is going to have a tough day. But I see getting disagreed with in the chat. Oaks are saying that they think Oz by 8 or so, which is fantastic. It's why we're here, and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, Roots. I mean, what do you think? At this moment, I can't make a case for any of them. Are you on the 25-all draw with me, or are you picking a winner?
Just to add on to Wes there, I think Wales were excellent, especially player number 24. He had a whistle in his hand. He was excellent. He played a wonderful game, wonderful feet, wonderful hands. But coming back to Australia, I think Eddie Jones is under a lot of pressure, and it's obviously evident in the press conferences. He's quite abrasive, in my opinion. But I think for the most part, there's also a conversation I was listening to that Quade Cooper has 55 missed calls on his phone. He's not prepared to answer Eddie Jones at this point.
Fair enough.
And why would you? Because, I mean, he wasn't even considered as a backup player. So Eddie Jones is adamant. And then, like Wes was saying, the chickens coming home to roost, if you could call it that. One of their players, their young players, Max Jorgensen, I think, came up with a broken leg. So he's out of the World Cup completely. So there's those sort of compounding decisions that now come back to bite you, I guess. But for Eddie Jones, I think being or having the experience that he's had, obviously getting a silver medal in 2003, and then obviously with the Box as a technical analyst in 2007, he does have World Cup experience, so we can't throw that away. It's a must win for Australia, where obviously for Wales, they know it's a must win. But I just think the edge is on Australia in terms of where they at or where they should be. And I know it's a bit premature, but Eddie Jones as the coach is almost like the Jose Mourinho of rugby, you know. So maybe I am expecting a little bit more than most, but I think Australia will pull this one through. And I heard Scalzi saying 7, maybe swinging either way, but I'm going to give Australia the win and give them still the opportunity to keep that group alive, much like the other groups as well. So quite an interesting weekend of rugby. The deciding weekends, I guess, for teams to divert in different directions.
Yeah, I'm kind of half joking about the draw, but I agree that Australia are the better, for me, on paper are the better side. And if they come bring it, even if Wales do, they should be edging this Welsh team by about 5 points. However, it's clear, or it seems that this Eddie Jones, or they've kind of blown up the flag for this World Cup, right? If talking about he's clearly seemingly made that decision with his selections. And if you see in the press conference, he made a point. This young Australia side, like he's trying to make a point. I brought youngsters to kind of give him to experience. Totally undermining the Wallabies, basically, and the World Cup, let's face it. So if you're a player and your coach, as Eddie Jones, is ranting and raving and acting like a madman and basically saying, well, we're not winning this World Cup. You drop 2-3%, you lose to Fiji. So my worry is, if these guys don't think they're winning this, aren't yet to win the World Cup, Wales can take them. So, like, it's going to be very interesting, but it'll be very Australia-like. Very Australia-like to come out and win by 10, you know? And off we go. We all wrote off England, and Ruz, I get you now. We all wrote off England. No one's saying that they're on the right track, but they've just beaten RG and Japan by 20-odd points. I mean, that's nothing to snigger off. Wales try to go win by 10. Are we saying that they're making a run, you know? Yeah, Ruz, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think just the last point to touch on for Australia, who do they have to rely on to bring the team together? So we talk in South Africa of the Sia Colisis, in New Zealand, maybe the Brody Retallick's coming back from injury. For Australia, like you mentioned, such a young side, if they are up against the pump at whatever stage in the game, who do they have to bring them together? So I think they've got to overcome that sort of hurdle, yeah?
It is very odd, the team he selected. He could have brought some guys, you know. So I heard the comment about Sonny Ball Williams saying if Carter Gordon just had a Quade Cooper in the change room after something like that, because he's put all his bets on this Carter Gordon. He hasn't proven himself, right? I mean, what these guys must be feeling like. And I don't know if you guys have Skelton's back, but I mean, Tupou, you just have to watch him even for the Reds. I mean, that guy is so pivotal. He's basically their scrum. He's he's our marks, Malcolm Marks in the loose, possibly better ball skills. They're just these teams look different without the guy. So yeah, I don't know if even he's back. I honestly, I was trying to find Australia team news before we arrived. I don't know if anyone, Scott, you want to say something? Do you have any?
Yeah, I think it's still out. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna add. Like, I think you can understand him leaving out Hooper Quaid if this is an Australia team filled with experience and he doesn't need their expertise. But there's still something to be said, as you said. Like, who can Carter Gordon go to and have a one-on-one conversation with, just to be like, this has happened to me. If anyone in a career has gone through ups and downs, it's Quade Cooper. He's seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows type of guy, and seems to be pretty kind of level-headed at this point. So I think it's with this Eddie team, I completely agree. He's undermined them. I think he relies on, much like he did with England, getting big early results. He needed a statement win versus the All Blacks, because then the kids believe in themselves, right? But they haven't had a statement win yet, so they're looking around for someone to believe in. They don't know who to. They don't have the senior player. They don't have Hooper Quaid, and they don't have themselves to believe in, because they haven't proved that to themselves yet. So he's kind of been waiting for the impact to come, and now he's taken a big loss, which is now just doubled down in an inexperienced side. I mean, it doesn't seem like I'm someone who's fucking the Australians. But that's the thing with England. You remember, he came in hot, Came in very hot. England went on that very good run. I think they won like 10 in a row, won the 50. They won the Six Nations, which probably possibly bought him a whole lot of time, because obviously taking New Zealand out in the semi bought him another 3 years. But this has been very underwhelming. And basically, I mean, it's basically a completely different team to the one that he picked for Loftus in the first game of the Tri Nations, right? So he obviously does. What's very fascinating is that he sits there like he's going to be there at the next World Cup. He could have been booted already, like the way he's going on. I mean, how sure is he that he's even going to be at the next Rugby Championship? That's what fascinates me. I mean, I hope his plan comes together for Australia's sake, because Australian rugby, let's all face it, guys. I mean, like those guys, that podcast, Drew Mitchell, those old characters of Gitto, and those are Australian players. We did appreciate and respect, right? They had that grunt, they had that street mongrel. They were very good. I mean, how do you see Australia coming back to that level? I don't know. I don't know if Eddie Jones is the right person to start that, kind of like what Russie's done through the provincial teams. He talks to the provincial teams, he talks to the sevens, everyone's on board, Anyway, guys, that's a wrap. We can do some quick fire predictions, or maybe actually let's go back to the 7-1. Anyways, let's go back. Let's talk about the 7-1, because it is controversial. I'm not as opinionated about it as my high head contacts and red cards and refs. I'm gonna say we've thrown my name around down the gutter already, so I'm gonna say whatever I feel anyway. But anyway, what do you make of the comments of the moral dilemma? If you obviously heard, let's say it's Matt Williams saying it, but I have seen some social media people commenting and kind of agreeing to it, and I think even saw another Irish, was it Keith Wood, who says the rules need to change. Right. Is it a moral issue? Is it morally wrong that we just not bending the rules? We just play by the rules and we select in the 7 reserves we want, and the other team either reacts or doesn't, or makes a plan? And does it actually filter? As you said, I understand it filtering down to the younger age groups. Okay, the scrum engagement has improved a lot, and I think neck injuries across the board have got better. Because he spoke about the neck injuries of players, and I think he still refers to that the bigger Foster guys come in and a neck injury is possibly happen. Do you buy his point that 7-1 is a moral issue and it shouldn't be accepted because he's not an international? I think he was talking down the age group. So do you agree with what you're saying? If you heard his point.
No. No. If you're that worried about the younger age groups, then also you just make that rule not available to the younger age groups, and you look to phase it in up, towards the guys where they become professional athletes and their bodies are conditioned to go for 80 minutes. Like there obviously are substitutions that happen at the 60 or the 50 or whatever, but most of these guys are trained and fit enough, if need be, to play 80 minutes of rugby. So yeah, there's definitely a difference. We know what fresh legs bring onto the field, but I just don't. I don't get it. Again, if you're that concerned about the younger age groups, I think it's something that he's potentially thought of in the wave of the backlash that he got for his comments. He's thought, yeah, exactly. He's kind of thought, oh, how can I justify this? Oh, the kids. What do people care about? They care about the kids. Okay, it's bad for the kids, so therefore it's bad. We shouldn't do it. But just make it not available to the kids. Like there are different rules at different ages. Right?
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They don't have, if that is an issue, and it can be, right? I don't know about your guys' school systems, because I know in Cape Town we have the English and Afrikaans schools, and there is a little bit of a physical difference level there when you play schoolboy level. And I must admit, if I saw a second pole first team pack coming after 60 minutes, 60 minutes, I would also probably be like, oh my god, this is going to be bad. But I agree. Why it doesn't have to be the same rules, right? And he's saying that, but I don't know if you guys also noticing, Scotty, like players aren't, coaches and players, current coaches and players aren't saying that they seen it as an innovation. Like, well, good for you. You know, if you want to do it, you're gonna, because there is still that we keep forgetting. There's still a risk, right? We're going to be playing players. You're going to be playing players not in their specialist international position.
Yeah.
Possibly, and that can go horribly wrong. So maybe people are like, yeah, go for it, guys. But you know, if you mess this up, we'll take this is out. That's better for us to get you. Rather maybe get you because you've slipped that one up. Because if we take you 6-3 bomb squad, that's difficult. So maybe they're actually hoping that it backfires. What do you think, Scotty?
And they're not worried about the South Africans, right? So they're not up in arms that Marco van Staden's now playing hooker because they're worried about him. You know, they're not worried that like we are putting our one backline player is a scrum half and might have to come on, you know, and play out of position. It's as if they're assuming that the other team is confined to fewer players on their bench, and we just have extra capacity for that. There's so much risk involved in doing what we do. So much can easily go wrong. The smallest hamstring tear in minute 2, you know, even, you know, like the Grant Williams injury against Argentina earlier on in the year. Like, these things happen. They're horrible, and South Africa takes on risk to exploit a strength of ours. We've seen us dominate. We haven't seen injuries. It's not like they're high tackles or injuries coming as a result of this. The only time I can think back to is when we blew away Italy at the last World Cup, and that wasn't a 7-1 split. That was probably even a 6-2 split, maybe a 5-1, and that was happening in the first half. That their props were just getting pumped, and then it went to uncontested, right? Yeah. So I just think it's a way of being frustrated that there's a supposed loophole that we found in a way we just choose to structure our system in the way that suits us, you know.
Or exactly, it could just disrupt all that structure we talk about, right, Roots? Like that 10-man rugby, that Pollard type when he's at 10. We've all been banging on that Lebok was the potential weakness or could go wrong or risk, right? Now, what if Lebok goes down or is kicking at 50%, and we got Faf playing at 10 after 45 minutes against France in a we're playing the quarterfinal. That's going to be fun, right? So, Rudes, I know you love your books, but I think you're a fan of the 7-1, right? Do you think the rules? Do you think this needs a rule change, if anything, as well? On Matt Williams' comment, do you think anything needs to change on the back of this silliness from the box?
No. So, with all due respect to that gentleman, I think he should go and study philanthropy or something, because it's way out of his depth now. South Africa, and in terms of professional sport, we're not playing for bread and milk money. We're playing to inspire a nation, and I think we need to play to our strengths. We've gone through the laws of the bench, and the requirements are you need 2 tight forwards in terms of props. A hooker, we've got that. We've covered those bases. So, as Scalzi and Wes mentioned as well, there's risk for us that nobody's taking into consideration. As we mentioned, we are the ones for now that are actually innovating. And I think just touching on what Wes was speaking about earlier and saying if you want to shut it out, then shut it out at school level. But at professional level, it's obviously, like I say, we're inspiring a nation. So at school level as well, if we know we talk about player safety, but I think in terms of contact sport that rugby is, if you don't want the contact, then don't play rugby. So we harnessing South African talent from a young age, perhaps not in that atmosphere of a 6-2 or 7-1 split. Maybe there are some permutations there, but building them up to a national team that inspires a whole nation. So that in itself, he's completely missed the point, and I think it's just a lot of envy in his rhetoric, you know.
Yeah, I just open my prediction. I don't know if I don't even know if we carry on going 7-1, right? And you don't know what these guys are going to do next. But I still don't know if that's going to backfire. Even though it can, I still think it's probably a Lebok, 2 missed kicks and a 3-point loss, or a ref,
Chris,
or bad ref decisions. Because a bad ref decision is coming, and be ready, boys. And I'm not saying just for us. A controversial decision is determined in a big game. It's wherever that happens.
I mean,
just to add, just to add to that is, like, I believe, in my opinion, the coaches and management have gone through what they can control. The uncontrollables we can't control.
Correct. Yeah. Very fascinating the journey the Boks have been on here, guys. How we won the last World Cup, what we look like at this World Cup. Very interesting. It makes it really, really interesting. So yeah, guys, we've gone on for quite a while. Lovely. It wasn't I thought was expecting. I thought we had a few short because we didn't do any kind of reviews. So yeah. Is anything else that you guys want to bring to the table? Otherwise, what I'm going to do to end, I'm not going to do a 2-2-2 games. I'm going to ask all 3 of you to give me within a 5 margin victory predictions for the games. But is there anything else you want to discuss before, or should we just go straight in and do the predictions?
Let's go straight to it, and let's go
Yeah,
watch
let's
Stevie P commentate on the.
Stevie, I think someone stole Sopowanga's tea. I don't know if it was Stevie doing some spying on the Samoan camp. Stevie, please give Sopowanga his tea back. Yeah. All right, let's go. So Skoltsi, Samoa, Argentina. What's the result? And if you can choose between any 5-point margin, so you can say between 8 and 12, Argentina.
I'm going Argentina 10.
All right, Wes?
Yeah, Argentina by 15.
Oh, so Argentina backlash, yeah? Samoa can't keep the discipline. Rudes?
No.
Samoa by 3.
Rudes. My heart says that. My heart says I want Samoa to win. But I think Argentina are going to come out. Yeah, you're right. I think it could be. Let's go to our Saturday games. Georgia, Portugal. Scotsy.
Portugal by 5.
Yo.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go Georgia by 10.
Yeah. Rudes.
Georgia, 13 points.
Yeah, fair enough. Good one, Scotsy. Put your neck out there. England, Chile. I think we know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Chile by 25. No.
That'll be something. Scotsy.
Yeah. England 20.
20.
I was going to say England 25.
Respect for the Chileans.
England 47.
Jeepers.
Rudes, I'm get on Rudes' side, yeah, chaps. We got a bit of a split panel, yeah. I think it's going to be a pretty comfortable England winner. To be fair, I think it's going to be too much for Chile. South Africa, Ireland. I think we did touch a bit. Let's just go again, Scotty. Put this rubber stamp. Let's put our signatures onto this one. Predict it.
It's not what I believe is going to end the World Cup, but I think Ireland by 2.
I'm with you, Scotty. Ireland between 2 and 5. Swez.
I think Box by 5 and 7. I think Ireland are the favourites, but I think Box can do it on the day.
I know what Ruiz is gonna say.
South Africa 26, Ireland 13.
Oh, comprehensive book win. Easy. Roll on. And do the same to New Zealand later, hey? And we go to the Scotland Tonga. We go around. I think we probably know we should win that one. What margins, Scott?
Scotland 15.
Yeah, they like to get
Yeah.
to a scrappy battle, the Scots, even though they should be winning by 30. Where's
Yeah, I'm also gonna go Scotland 15. I think that's fair enough.
Rudes?
Scotland by 26.
Yeah, I think Scotland, but I'm going to say between 20 and 30. Maybe they squeeze out another one, another try. And then another biggie, Australia, Wales. We did go on predictions. Scotty, remind us what you're going in.
I think I said Australia 10, between 8 and 10.
That's right. You said Australia. Yeah, you're with me on Australia. Wales was Wales, right?
Yeah, Wales 10 and 12 by 10 or 12.
Sure. This is a big split. Roots.
Exactly what Scalzi and Wes said. I'm going to go between 8 and 12.
2?
Australia.
Okay.
I'm Australia too. So we got 3 Australias, 1 Wales. Wales.
Tiny
Rise,
mate.
raise their Wales flag. All right, boys. Thanks so much. That was really good show. I really enjoyed it. Always enjoyed chatting rugby with you guys. And obviously we cruising well into the tournament now, and some nice games. I don't know how you guys are doing in your prediction games and SUPERBRUs, but I need these 50-50s to go my way this weekend. So yeah, wish us luck. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, and obviously have a great weekend. And everyone on the chat, thank you for joining in. Obviously, if you fancy following some of the tips and the predictions, go into Boyle Sports and sign up on the sign up bonus. You get a nice £1,000 sign up bonus, and our other partners, BITDEFENDER as well. And obviously catch the guys on the watch-alongs, going beautifully, looking lovely, slick, professional. Join the guys there on the watch-alongs and just support us and hit the like button. And yeah, let's keep going and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank everyone.
Cheers.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reese. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
For Rugby and Forever Sports. Glad to have you here on a beautiful Saturday, a lovely rugby Saturday. And what a Saturday it's been so far. An excellent game between Georgia and Portugal, coming right down to the wire and ending in a draw. So real nail-biting stuff there. Thought the Portuguese were going to come away with their first Rugby World Cup win, but the Georgians raining on their parade. So hope you enjoyed that one. But looking forward to the next match between England and Chile. So really, really great to have you all here, guys. Start sounding off in those comments. Let me know where you're coming in from. I'm bringing you this coverage live from the Okavango Delta in Botswana. So great to have you here with me. And if there are any technical difficulties, we do apologize, and asking a lot of Okavango Delta Wi-Fi. But so far, so good. So yeah, start starting off in those comments where you're watching from. Also, guys, make sure you hit that like button. It just lets the channel know, it lets YouTube know, it lets other viewers know that this is a legitimate stream and not spam or something like that. And you can actually sort of catch the whole commentary of the game here. So really appreciate your support there. what you can also do is definitely vote in the poll. We've got a poll running at the moment, and 87 of you have chimed in. Who do you think is going to win? Will it be England? Will they look to make it 3 from 3? Or are the Chileans finally going to find their first win of Rugby World Cup 2023, their first Rugby World Cup win, in fact? Yeah, what do you guys think? Great to have some of you joining in here. Cal getting involved. How's it, Cal? Good to have you in the chat always. Sebastian, lucky to have you here from Pretoria. I'm sure that, yeah, Pretoria is getting geared up for the game later tonight. So absolutely, yeah, thrilling stuff for the Boks and the island, but great to have you here, Sebastian. Kel, how are you feeling about the game? I'm sure the English, I think, are always a bit nervous given their recent form. However, this should be a game that they feel pretty confident going into. I think they showed a decent performance against Argentina, not their best, and then a better performance against Japan, still lacking the killer instinct, I think, that we are used to potentially seeing from England teams of past, a real attacking threat. I don't particularly think their forwards are that intimidating, and the back line at the moment just hasn't looked that potent. So hopefully the English now will use this game. Well, I think for the English's sake, hopefully they will look to use this game to sort of iron out a few of those kinks, and lots to talk about. So before we go too much into the England team, let's have a look at the men who will be taking the field today. Right, so there are the Englishmen taking the field, and yeah, quite a different selection for the English team this week. I believe it was only 2 players retaining their starting position from the previous week. Cal is in the chat there saying he loves the changes. The backline excites me. Well, not Farrell, but the rest. Yeah, we have to talk about the man, Owen Farrell. He is back on the rugby field after serving his ban for the high or dangerous tackle earlier this year. So it'd be very interesting to see what England team shows up. I think there's been a lot of commentary around the sort of spirit, the gees, the feel around this England team, when Owen Farrell's not in it. Not that he's intentionally doing it, but we've seen them just play better rugby, right? They've had their best sort of performances without Owen Farrell in the team. I think they've looked their best without him in the team, but he is a world-class 10, so you need to have him on side. So it'd be very interesting to see what he does. I mean, they have got George Ford on the bench, so I think they can pull that trigger early, rather, if things aren't quite going to plan. But I think some other things to look out for is the centre pairing. I think you've got obviously Ollie Lawrence and Elliot Daly pairing up alongside one another. Ollie Lawrence, we know, can score tries. He's done it in the Premiership. So he will be one to watch. And although Elliot Daly, interesting to see how he does at 13. He's only played there, I think, 4 times before. So not his comfortable position. And then Marcus Smith finally gets a start in this World Cup. I think he had an excellent last couple of minutes against Japan. So it'll be very exciting to see what he can do from the back. Another sort of speedster we have to watch out for, obviously, then is Henry Arundel, who, again, just looks absolutely deadly in club rugby from his highlights and if you watch him, but then hasn't quite been able to translate that to test rugby for England. So he'll be looking to make a bit of an impact, I think, especially given that starting position. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the chat there. So as we said, Sebastian's tuning in from Pretoria, Buffalo. Good to have you here with us again in from Cape Town. Thank you so much. And as I said, guys, just make sure you hit the like button. Really lets everyone know where we're at and where they can find the stream. Also, a huge shout out before we start looking at the oppositions today. A huge shout out to our 2 channel sponsors. A massive thank you to BOYLESPORTS as well as BitDefender. So we'll get on to those a little bit later. But this English team, I think, again, a solid win against Argentina, a solid win against Japan. So 2-game winning streak coming off, pretty shaky start. Having a look at some stats here, I've got a positive plus 14 points difference. They've scored the first try in 2 out of the 5 games, so they are quite a notoriously slow to start side. However, they do their best in the last quarter, the last 20 minutes. England really do seem to come into their own, rather. So we'll have to see. They've scored 9 tries, so they are finding the try line in the last 5 games. But I think they'll be looking to really put on a big performance here. We've sort of seen teams go up against emerging rugby nations with a subpar selection, potentially to try and rotate, which again makes sense. However, the emerging nation rugbies have really started to put up a bit of a fight. So that's been excellent from their end. So kickoff not so far now, probably about 15 minutes or so. But before that, we do need to have a look at the Chileans. So here is the Chilean team taking the field against England today. So there is the Chilean squad taking the field today. Yeah, I think we just, really, really cognizant of the fact that they can play decent rugby. It's just how long can they keep that rugby up for? We know that they can put in at least 50 minutes, 60 minutes, but can they then take England to task for 70 odd minutes? It's going to be a tough ask for the Chileans, but they'll be more than up to the task. They're also, I think, one of the big things in the match preview video, if you watch that, they'll be looking to tidy up as their discipline. I think they received 4 yellow cards across the 2 games they've played so far, so averaging 2 cards a game, which is not great in terms of discipline. Not easy as well to win games with less men on the field. However, England seems to galvanise the English team, sort of deemed it the English way: get a card and have 1 man off the field and then play better. But again, hopefully we won't see either of that. It's not what we want to see. We want to see 15v15 at all times. But yeah, I think one man of the Chilean side I'm really excited to look out for is number 7, Ignacio Silva. Had the privilege of playing with him actually when I was in the States. Played on a 7-side together, and he was just absolutely electric and a workhorse, like an absolute engine on him. So he no doubt will be flying around the park and looking to steal ball. He just gets into such a strong position over the ball. Kind of reminds me a bit of a Malcolm Marks type style. But yeah, what do we think? Potentially in the chat we can start getting some score predictions or some win predictions if you're not too confident on what you think the score is going to be. We can see there that Forever Sports asking to smash that like button, guys. Please make sure that you do that. And speaking of the scores, so do you think you know what's going to happen? Then why don't you head over to BOYLESPORTS, create an account and place your bet. So not only can you win big on your prediction, but BOYLESPORTS will match you up to your first deposit of 1,000 Rand. So check out the description and join today. And if you're really not sure where to start with BOYLESPORTS, definitely check out Chris's tips. Chris Rowe's got his own betting show where he tells you, what he thinks and where he's putting his money, where he recommends you put yours. So definitely check him out. I think he's on quite a streak at the moment and made quite a bit of money. So yeah, definitely go check him out if you're not sure where to go. Just want to cut now to a bit of a promotional video what we have here for Forever Sports, showing you the coverage we're going to bring you from France. So I'll see you after this. Yeah, absolutely massive effort putting in here from Forever Sports to bring you all the coverage from the Rugby World Cup. And we've obviously got CDP out on the ground, who's joined now by the newest member of Forever Sports, that is Rassie. Rassie on tour. So if you're not sure who Rassie is, I'm not talking about Rassie Erasmus, go check out some of the videos on the channel, as well as CDP's Instagram. He's got lots of updates on Rassie on tour. But fantastic to see we've got some Chilean support in the chat there. Green Diesel saying Chile all the way. So, potentially Green Diesel, they're backing the Chileans to do the job. It is going to be a big effort that's required from the Chilean men taking the field. But as I said, they'll be more than fired up for it, guys. Yet to see any score predictions. So I know you're there, guys. Please make sure you pop that in the chat. Very interesting to see. I think on my SUPERBRU, I think I said England by 27. So I'm expecting the English to sort of put the Chileans away. I don't know sort of how that comes. As I said, a bit of a slow starting England side. But I do think they will sort of see the game out. Well, I say they will. I imagine if they play the way they want to, they will see that. But yeah, let's start getting some of that in the chat. I think might just under 10 minutes now to kick off. Not long at all. And once again, a quick reminder, guys, if you can, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if possible, become a Forever Sports member. 19 Rand 99 a month really allows us to bring you all this coverage and expand our coverage into different areas and more competitions. So really appreciate those of you who are. If you're not able to, though, then the next best thing you can do is subscribe to the channel, as well as like the videos. Yeah, as I said, liking seems like such a small thing, but it really does make a big difference, because it allows YouTube to recognize that people are engaging with the video, that they're literally liking the video, and then it's not a spam video that sort of lured you in with the promise of a game, but rather we are bringing you sort of full commentary coverage of the match itself. So very, very excited to see what's going to happen. A lot of nervous energy, I think, though, from the Forever Sports team, as well as the South Africans, all over the place with the big game happening tonight, the Springboks versus Ireland. Very interesting to see. Some people have said that whoever wins tonight's game will not go on to win the Rugby World Cup, and we often see that teams peaking a little bit too early, potentially getting out their best performance and then not being able to continue that or sustain it rather through into the next round. But hopefully that isn't the case. We'll have to see who comes out on top tonight. It is going to be an absolute cracker, I think that this is probably one of the best games to watch if you are a neutral. You've got world number 1 versus world number 2 taking on each other, and what more could you ask for? But having a look back to the action right now, so we do see both the teams, the English and the Chileans, making their way out onto the field. So we will have anthems coming up shortly, and then the game will get underway. I'm very excited to see Lewis Lund. I do think he is a quality player. Again, another big engine on him. Very high work rate. So good to see that he's retained his starting position, and I'm sure he'll be trying to play himself into that starting jersey. As I said, George Ford on the bench as well as Ben Earl. He was more present, I think, in the Japan game last week. I sort of saw him with ball in hand, more running, more using his pace that he has as forward. He is quite agile and mobile for a big man. So he'll come off the bench and look to have a massive impact. Elijah69 in the comments saying there, England with some flags. Let's go England. So good to see some support for both sides happening. I think big game for the English. I think, again, they will look to cement and really want to enforce their game plan, I think, on the Chilean side. And also a good opportunity to work out what exactly their plan is. As I said, the attack for me from the English side has not been that threatening. But with the changes that we've seen, Steve Borthwick's gone with some pretty big changes. Can this start to unlock, sort of the English team? Ronnie, how's it, man? Good to have you in the chat. Hey, mate, I'm an Irishman living in Mexico. Looking forward to the Ireland versus South Africa after this taster. Yeah, a little warm-up here for us. Ronnie, great to have you with us. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely massive. I work with some Irish colleagues, and we have meetings tentatively scheduled for this coming week. And I've just said to everyone, let's just see how the weekend goes, and we might need to postpone those meetings. But no, it's going to be fantastic. But great to have you here, Ronnie. Again, just like Ronnie, guys, let us know where you're tuning in from. We've got a few people from Pretoria, from the Cape Town. I know we've got some people viewing in from Mexico now. Ronnie's an Irishman living in Mexico, so excellent stuff there. Great to have you. As I said, I'm tuning in from the Botswana, from the Delta. Really, really appreciate you guys joining me here on the stream. So having a look, don't forget about our poll. Who will win this match? England, Chile, or do we think it's going to be a draw? I think we saw our first draw of Rugby World Cup 2023 in the earlier game between Portugal and Georgia. I think it was 33-1 odds. So if you did put some money on a draw, then you were probably quite happy. But very difficult to predict, as is almost any result, but draws particularly. I'm really impressed with the Portuguese side coming out in that second half. We spoke about, these emerging rugby nations not quite being able to put in that full performance. I think they their first half really let them down. I think their own coach sort of said, look, we were nowhere. But they came out and played, a much more convincing 40 minutes of rugby in the second half. Chilean anthem now wrapping up. Such passion the Southern Americans sing with. Fans in the crowd, I mean, awesome. Just great to see them making the trip out there, which is fantastic, and I think that indicates to the world and World Rugby that, the fans from these emerging rugby nations are up for it, and they will travel and they will go to support their team, because who knows when next will they potentially compete in a Rugby World Cup. So fantastic to have them here. And again, in that nail biter against the USA, drawing in the, the 82nd minute, whatnot, when the kick went over to draw and eventually go through. So excellent work from them. Right, and the first anthem is done. And I believe the English anthem is done as well. I forget how short the English anthem is. I missed it in my my rambling to you guys. While we wait for the players to take the field there, just a big shout out again once more to one of our channel sponsors, BitDefender. So while we have a break here, let me remind you this coverage is sponsored by the global leader in cybersecurity, which is BitDefender. So BitDefender Total Security brings major changes to the way that online threats are detected and repelled. The new cyber threat intelligence technologies include included can analyze and identify suspicious network-level activities and block sophisticated exploits, malware, and bot-related URLs, and brute force attacks. So much it is protecting you against. Half the things I don't even know what those are, so I definitely need Bitdefender, and I do use Bitdefender to make sure all my cyber stuff is kept safe. So to learn more about Bitdefender's offering, please click on the link in the description down below. And while you are down there by the description, you know what I'm going to ask you to do? Hit the like button. I can see how many of you are watching, and I can see how many likes we've got, guys. It's very clear. The math doesn't add up. So please, 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 very, very small thing you can do is hit that like button for us. But yeah, yet to have a score prediction in the chat. So let us know. What do you think? Who is going to take this and by how much? We've got Green Diesel supporting Chile. We got Elijah69 saying, come on, England. But what do we think? What were your SUPERBRU picks? If you haven't joined us already on SUPERBRU, please make sure you do join our league. I'm not doing fantastically, I hate to admit. I'm doing better on Rugby World Cup's fantasy team. That I seem to have more success with for some reason. I do have to pick slightly different teams, but yeah, we've got a league on there as well. So if you are interested in playing along, and if you have it already, let us know. Right, we are about to get underway. Yaku Paper is going to be the match referee official for this game. Hope he has a good one. Hope all the refs have a good game, because it does make such a difference, and you don't want, you know, refereeing decisions to potentially influence the outcome. Right, England in their white kits, Chile in their red and blue, and we are going from left to right, and Owen Farrell gets us underway. Nice hanging kick. It is Ignacio Silva taking it solidly and driving outside of his 22. Videla then finds the big men still just outside the 22. Videla looks to now slot it back to Fernandez. Or maybe that was Mateus Gafulik now trading in his yellow scrum cap for his blue. Or even Dominic Saavedra. I need to find that blue scrum cap. Right, off. Elliot Daly's making a nice probing run through the field there. Danny Kerr offloading to Billy Vitapola. So the English with some meaningful possession here. Nice little quick hands, but it does seem to have been knocked on by the Chilean players there. So we will have our first scrum of the game within the first minute. I think it was knocked forward in the tackle. So promising, probing a little run from Elliot Daly there, but we will have our first scrum, and it is English possession. Here we see the replay. Lovely, oh, I see there. So Ollie Lawrence just trying to thread it through, and the ball being knocked forward there. That's resulted in the knock-on. So about halfway between the 10-meter and 22, all the way to the left-hand side on the 5-meter. So lots of room for the English backs to run using this right side. However, just in that shot there, we saw them all quite tight together, close to the scrum. So we might see a bit of a probing, more than a probing attempt to break the line here from the English backline. Again, Ollie Lawrence, such a strong runner. He'll be looking to at least break through and maybe get his arms free. Right, so we go for a reset scrum. First scrum was collapsed. Nothing malicious or cynical. Dean's Yaku Paper. And a short arm to the English players. Paper indicating that the Chileans were just closing the gap, and the English have called for the scrum again. So Chile have to be careful now not to do the same mistake and concede a penalty. You know what England are going to do? Either go for the post, they back themselves, or go to the line and see if they can try get an early try. As we said, they are quite slow to start, England, but they'll be looking to change that. Right, Owen Farrell eyeing up the opposition, looking to exploit any weaknesses. Right, we have a better scrum. It's a bit unstable. It does go down, although Paper keeps. No, there isn't a penalty advantage. Out it comes. Here it is. Max Malin's trying to get that pass away. Marcus Smith finding Henry Arundel, saying, "Go for it, boy." Running to the right-hand side, shrugging off one, then runs into two, takes it down into contact. We're on the right-hand side of the field. English still with possession on about the 10-meter now. Ball comes out to Farrell. Farrell finds Daly. Daly then to Ollie Lawrence. Now in some space, breaks the first. Lawrence still on his feet. Good work by Ollie Lawrence. Danny Kerr now with the advantage. Still to the English side. Right, little probing gap through there, off the deck. Ball's gone backwards, and Jaco Paper says, right, we're going to come back for the offside penalty. I think there were two penalties. We've gone back for the scrum one. Excellent. Ronnie got some predictions in the chat there. Thanks, Ronnie. England to win 24-6. Yeah, I think I'm around that margin there with you. I think I said by 27 points. I think I'm hoping England do outscore a little bit more. Paul Terry, great to have you here. Whatever the result, Chile have a cool anthem. That they do. They definitely do. Very passionately sung as well, the Chileans, with their anthem. All right, so they have not gone for the 3 points. England have chosen to go for the line. And we can see there the scrum infraction. I think it was Mateus Dittis just dropping his bind. So England with a real good opportunity to attack here, about, I'd say, 10 meters out, the line out. Theo Dan will be looking to find his target, and he does find David Ribbons to go down for the driving maul. Fraction splinters off. They are finding some meters, the English forwards, but the Chilean forwards now piling bodies in. Still up and around. Danny Kerr then finds Lawrence. Lawrence runs into 2 or 3 people. Kerr again, off to Marcus Smith. A little hop step, little dab through. But it is touched down by the Chilean number 14. Well collected there. That is Crystal Game. It looked to me like he had taken it back over his own line. So a 5-meter scrum should be to England here. So Smith just identifying the space in behind. Couldn't quite get the pass off. Well covered by the Chilean number 14 though. Again, potentially, yep, we are seeing an English scrum on the 5-meter. Again, was that the right call by Smith? I know it's always hindsight. I know you can't say it, after the fact, but saw the space, made the decision. He is exciting. It is what he likes to do. He's innovative, but it's your first phase, pretty much, or second phase, third phase. Try see if you can tire out the Chilean defense. Bring them one way, bring them the other way. Use your big boys to crash it up, make them make tackles, and then have a look where the space is to kick through. But they do retain possession, so nothing gained, nothing lost really. Another good attacking platform. So again, here we see Arundel standing almost right behind Owen Farrell at the back of the scrum there. Ronnie says, don't want to give the Brits too much credit there with his score. Yeah, no, I know. It was difficult. It was very difficult for me to pick England to win. But for that record on SUPERBRU, had to do it. So yet to see a very stable scrum. So we're all the way on the right-hand side now. On the 5-meter, England with possession. Better scrum by both sides. Bit of a secondary shove from England, trying to make a nuisance of themselves. They do get the penalty advantage. And yeah, it did come out. So paper there indicating the Chileans not remaining illegal in that scrum. So they will kick to the line. England, they said, right, we're going to go for a line up, try the driving maul again. Oh, I think one thing we are going to do, and you're all my witness, if Chile are ahead at halftime, I'll shave the mustache. Right, back to the rugby though. Line out, we find David Ribbons. We go down to drive. So Theo Dan and Ribbons linking up nicely. Bit of a rolling maul here. It does collapse, but legally deems Jaco Paper. Kerr out to Farrell. Farrell to Smith. He's got Max Malins, and it's not the greatest pass by Smith. Max Malins having to reach for that in the air, not being able to collect it. I do feel like Marcus Smith there potentially could have taken it a bit further to the line. He had the defender in 2 minds, and I feel like he could have just committed him just a bit more. Easier said than done. So here gets around. I think he had the gas on the 14. And then also just made it easy. I think it might have been the fullback, Rose, there to sort of move across. I think potentially a bit of a dummy, see what he did. And if he went, then go through that hole yourself. But we do have a Chilean line out. just outside their 5 meter. So under lots of pressure here. They do go to the back. It's collected by Captain Martin Sigren, taken off the top. Oh, solid, strong run there from big number 1, Salvador Luis, just bumping off the English defense. And that's a good exit, although they haven't found touch, unfortunately. So Malins with ball in hand now. What can he do? Swamped by the Chilean defense. It has been turned over. Garafulik now in that yellow scrum cap. There he is. Martin Sigurd, nice little interplay here from the Chileans. Down the right-hand side, here they go. Tackled well by David Ribbons. That man is everywhere. This is good counter here, or good attack rather, by the Chileans. Ignacio Silva taking it strongly into contact. They go to the right-hand side, half gap. They lovely pass out the back into a bit of space. This is excellent by the Chileans. Here they come to the left now. Martin Sigurd again taking it into contact strongly. England caught a bit here. Defense will have to be strong. Mateus Dittus running it up into contact and ripped by Owen Farrell, knocked backwards. Marcus Smith will look to clear. No, does a little bit of hop step and then takes it into contact. Really good attacking play there from Chile. Care feeds the big men, try and stuck in a few defenders, make a few more meters. We'll start to set that a bit of a train, and Danny Kerr looks to box clear. Does so well and finds touch. But you got to say, all things considered, that's a win in my books for Chile for territory and possession. I thought that was a lovely bit of interplay there. The offloads were fantastic. The interlinks were great. So yeah, Garafulik there stripping the ball off Max Malins. And then inside, back outside, Martin Sigren with ball in hand does well to find his number 14 game on the right-hand side. That was really excellent. Right, Chilean line out on the English 22. They go to the center, but it is overthrow there, a bit of a miscommunications. So English have it now, and there's opportunity for counter-attack here. Henry Arundel in space. He puts on the afterburners, beats one, and then passes it straight to one of the Chilean counter defenders there. And Videla kicks over the top. There's no one home. The ball is live, and there was a Chilean player there running back for it, not able to collect it. So that was close. So here come England then. Ball in the center of the field. Owen Farrell having to get involved in the ruck. Danny Kerr feeds it out to Billy Villapola. Kerr then looking to come back to the right. Finds George Martin. So no real way through for the English here, so they'll stab it over the top. Set loose Henry Arundel to give chase. Very contestable, but it does bounce. I believe it was Orozo there taking the ball. Now Videla looks to set Garafulik loose. He passes it on. Lovely little outside-inside ball. This is excellent. Lovely streaming run up by Clemente Saavedra up the center of the field. Big number 4 making meters there. Videla now with ball in hands. This is good attacking by Chile. Finds the big man Luis. Over the top pass there by the fullback Orozo. Lovely little pace down by Game. He's been fantastic so far. So down the right-hand side we go. Videla comes back to the left. Oof, solid low tackle there by the English players. Videla ball in hand now, again, finds Dittus on the inside to Saavedra. These little inside passes are working for the Chileans. Garafulik to his 13, Domingo Saavedra. Lewis Ludlam, I think, has managed to turn that ball over, absolutely. So doing good work, but yeah, the Chileans being penalized for just collapsing or killing that ball, really, not allowing him access to it. Garafulik questioning paper. Eyaku paper, that is. But again, promising things from the Chileans. Johan Morris, how's it? Thank you so much for joining, Johan, and becoming a members club. Always great to have more members join. Fantastic to have you here. And thanks so much for joining along, guys, here for Rugby on Forever Sports. Really impressed with the Chileans, little interplay. I think they're finding holes in the English defense, definitely asking questions. So really positive stuff from them. Ronnie. So I've said I'll shave my mustache if Chile are ahead. Ronnie says he'll shave his bits. But no, England don't want to rely on Ford's foot, that is. Right, line out we go here. Big steaming run from Billy Villapola. but dealt well with by the Chilean defenders. A little pick and go around the side there, a few extra meters. And again, Kyle Sinclair now. Oh, I feel like that's ball stolen, and it is indeed Augusto Bome stole that ball, but then the English somehow got it back. Ignacio over the top, but cleaned out. Danny Kerr then to the left. Danny Kerr again looking for the big man. Kyle Sinclair taking it into contact strongly. Ball comes loose. But scrappy, the Chileans have indeed turned that over. So, but scrappy, and again winning the penalty there. One of the English players finding themselves on the wrong side of that ruck. So, good defensive efforts there. I think it was Jack Willis there finding himself on the wrong side, slowing that ball down. Jackie, great to have you in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Jackie saying, would be nice if Chile can score. Would be nice. Would be fantastic to see the Chileans get over. We know, especially with these emerging rugby nations, we saw it with Samoa in their games, and Portugal, in fact, when they start to get momentum and positivity, it just feeds the whole team, and they start to do really well. So I feel like if they're able to get onto the scoreboard, they'll be stoked with that. However, they're not able to find touch. So Arundel feeds Smith into centre field, and Smith, I think, to Farrell there. Farrell and out to Elliot Daly on the wing, taking it into contact. Kerr comes back to the right. Farrell then finding Theo Dan, half a through gap. Lovely little inside ball to Danny Kerr, but then a knock-on from the English number 9. So Chile here with a knock-on advantage. Oof! Massive tackle there from Elliot Daly on the Chilean player. Oh my gosh, his mate owes him a beer. That was a bit of a hospital pass, and Elliot Daly read that like a book. That was a phenomenal tackle by the English outside centre. It's good work by Theo Dan, staying on his feet, ball in one hand, and then Danny Kerr just not able to collect it. Yeah, you can see the anguish on his face. He knows he should do it well. Here's that replay. Elliot Daly timing that to perfection, driving the Chilean player backwards. But there was a knock-on advantage, so we come back for the scrum. Lynette Wazowski, thank you so much. Great to have you here in the chat as well, guys. Great to have Lynette join the Forever Sports Members Club. 19 Rand 99 a month allows us to bring you all this coverage and more. Once again, if that's not something you can do, liking the button is for free. We really appreciate that, as well as subscribing to the channel. Right, here come Chile. Some strong scrum there out the back in their 22, so able to clear well. And they do not find touch. So the Chileans struggling to find touch. A little shake of the head there. Marcus Smith then feeds, I think it's Max Malins down the left-hand side. Running into space is Max Malins. Here comes Danny Kerr, finds George Martin. Martin into contact. Danny Kerr to Daly. Daly flat pass, but now Garafulik has ball in hand. Recognizes no one is home on the left-hand side for England. So lovely kick forward. Will we see a 50-22? The ball does go out into touch, and Garafulik is absolutely pumped, earning his team there the 50-22, retaining possession. So just catching England sleeping a little bit there, although to be fair, they were on attack, although Elliot's Daily flat pass just sort of bypassing all the English attackers. So no real luck there for the English attack. So Chile now with probably their best opportunity of the first half. 16 minutes in, not seeing them with much ball in hand, except for when they're trying to clear it off their line. So let's see. It is Augusto Bome here throwing in. Who will he look to find? Possibly Clemente or Iceman. Afternoon, Alan. Excellent to have you here. Again, the Chilean line out, just letting them down. So England ball in hand now. And there is space and numbers on the left-hand side. Here goes Elliot Daly in acres of space. He dabs the ball through. There's another excellent kick from Elliot Daly, and he will earn his team. No, it is indeed out. So the English will have a line out. Now, question is, did the ball go out or was it taken out? Does that matter in the 50-22 rule? So we wait to see. But I think Elliot Daly would have hoped to keep that ball potentially in play, because you did have Malins running after it like a madman, Unleashed, and Marcus Smith. Yeah, really good work by Elliot Daly there. Good scramble defense from the Chileans. So it is an English line out. Theo Dan finds Ribbon, seems to be Billy Vanapola breaks off the back into lots of space, inside to Theo Dan. Good work from the English forwards. Danny Kerr then to the right. Ollie Lawrence, taken up in the air. He jumped into it though. But Lawrence does seem to be in a lot of pain. He's grimacing on the floor. He does not seem to be comfortable. Gets up very slowly, but play goes on. So Danny Kerr out to Theo Dan on the right-hand side here. Theo Dan making lots of space, or lots of meters rather, taking up lots of space. Danny Kerr, a little dart, but no way through there for the English number 9. Now we go back to a bit more slow traditional stuff. The big men taking over here, picking and going. There is an advantage. It might be for that tackle on Ollie Lawrence. So there is a penalty advantage here for the English. They got a bit of license to play. Strong drive over the line, but it does look like it's held up. It is held up, says paper. So we are going to go back for the penalty rather, which was for offsides. Ian McCarthy, how are you doing, Ian? Lucky to have you here, or lucky to have you here rather. Come on, England, let's go. Film craze, sloppy rugby from England. Yeah, it's not been clinical from the English, but I think it has been better. I think Chile also will look to tidy things up, especially at line-out time. They've got themselves into some really good positions in the field, and then their line-outs have just absolutely let them down. Okay, so we see there Garafulik just half a meter offside. So Ollie Lawrence jumping to take that, and absolutely getting taken out in the air. Though no penalty deemed there. But Film Craze, I absolutely agree with you. It is a bit sloppy. Ian saying we should be smashing these. I mean, 20 minutes in, scoreless, but we do know, statistically at least, the English team of late are slow to start. So they do perform their best in the last 20 minutes. So do we see a similar thing here? But I think, if England don't come away with some sort of points now from this visit to the 22, there's a penalty advantage from the scrum, center of the field. Billy Vanapola picks it up with the back, goes off to Owen Farrell. Long pass over the top. Henry Arundel, and they will score on the right-hand side. Henry Arundel, in his World Cup debut performance, gets a try for the English Roses. You feel like it had to come. There was acres of space out here on the right-hand side, but a good pass from Owen Farrell to find his number 14. So there we go, Ian. We start to get some English points on the board. Film Crazy, yep, absolutely. There's just a try being scored. Over the top, lovely work. Henry Arundel, easiest try he's probably ever scored in his career. Alan, you don't need to worry anymore. They've just scored. So I know as a Welshman, you're very concerned about the English rugby team. But we'll see. Film Crazy saying good rucking. Yeah, there was good quick service ball there from the English. But 20 minutes in, not the best, but they'll look to tidy things up. I think, as I said, Chile will really need to focus on finding touch as well from their kicks. So they've got penalties and in their 22, and then look to clear and just not finding touch and gifting England the possession back and allowing them to run back at them. And with exciting runners like Arundel, like Malins, like Marcus Smith, there's not really people you want to be giving the ball to. Right, Owen Farrell lines up on the right-hand side, but he just draws that across the face of the posts. So it will remain a 5-0 with 21 minutes done in the game. But good pass from Owen Farrell. Yeah, Alan, I thought you might take that back. But nice work there from Henry Arundel in his Rugby World Cup debut. Okay, Chile coming back to the halfway line here very slowly, taking their time. No real intensity. And Rodrigo Fernandez gets us underway. So kicks deep into the English 22. Billy Vanapola finds Ollie Lawrence. Ollie Lawrence not deemed to be tackled, so he gets up and goes again. Still in the 22. Danny Kerr then. Farrell up the back to Smith. Smith to Daly. Daly now. Ludlam taking it back inside. Still on his feet, Ludlam. Good strong run from Lewis Ludlam there, the number 6. Danny Kerr, slow ball. Out to Sinclair. Sinclair takes it strongly into tackle, but strong tackle from his opposite, number 3, Marcus Dittus. Farrell then deeming no progress being made. Kicks it up over the top. Contestable. Bit of disruption there. Paper, knock-on advantage for the English, though. Penalty advantage. So it was deemed to be knocked on by a Chilean player, then a Chilean in front of the knock-on played the ball, resulting in an offside penalty. So England clearly identifying the Chileans struggling under the high ball. sure this is something they'll look to exploit over the next 60 minutes or so. Farrell takes us down again deep into Chilean territory. Yeah, it was the fullback 15, Oroz, in that blue scrum cap knocking it on. And I think it was his number 14, Cristol Game, playing that ball in front of him. Film Craze deems to be thinking that Marcus Smith should be taking the place kicks. Potentially, right. Theodan once again finds David Ribbons. And this rolling maul is thundering up the field. The Chileans really need to get on top of this, or indeed it is going to be another try very quickly. There's a penalty advantage. They are over the line, and that is a second try for the English, scored by Theo Dan. Excellent work there from the hooker. Great work from the English forwards, actually, just to completely overpower the Chilean forwards in that rolling maul. So that is, will no doubt delight the English fans. Almost said the Welsh fans there. See, Alan, see what you're doing to me? No, the Welsh fans will not have enjoyed that. The English fans, on the other hand, will be very happy. But good work from them. So Film Craze, they're saying Farrell's been awfully inconsistent. He has, but I think potentially, trying to get him that experience and get him some practice kicking in the games, because it is likely that you will have him on the field more often, I think, not than as opposed to Marcus Smith, right? I mean, if you have Freddie Stewart as your first choice 15 and Smith isn't playing, you want Farrell to be able to place kick. I know you've got Ford as well, but yeah, I think Farrell will look to use this opportunity. So here's the chance from the left-hand side on the 15-meter. Oh, just by the skin of his teeth, threads this one through, but it won't say close kick on the scorecard. It just will indicate that he did get it through. Ian, I love your work in the comments there. Yes, mate. Over 100 people here and only 15 likes. Come on, guys. Smash the like for the channel. Appreciate you, Ian. You can stay. Nah, you can all stay, but be like Ian. Be more like Ian. Smash that like button. Alan, absolutely bark and roll in 3 hours, mate. I got lots of nervous energy. Trying to go for a run this morning. I think I might need to go for another one just after this. I no doubt will not be sitting and watching the game. I stand. I cannot sit during BOK games. Okay, so Chile to get us underway once again. Rodrigo Fernandez just inside the English 22. Billy Villapola then takes it well into contact. Ignacio straight over, but cleaned out well. Danny Kerr then comes to the right-hand side and finds Farrell. Farrell to his big men there in, I think that might have been Jack Willis. No, excuse me, David Ribbons. Now out to Farrell. Farrell hoists one up. Arundel giving chase. Contestable. Elliot Daly. Oh, Elliot Daly just not able, but it has bounced. The Chileans do come away with it there. Gosh, you feel like if Daly had collected that, he was through for all money. So England looking a bit more potent here on attack. Chile would love to get some ball in hand and do something meaningful with that possession. So Videla then out to the men on the right, asking there to be a bit of a chain formed to box clear out of here. Videla does so. Ribbons almost getting the charge down. Smith is underneath it though, no real contestable kick. Links up nicely with Farrell. Farrell then out to Malins. Malins to inside to Ollie Lawrence. Lawrence stepping, pushed through from Owen Farrell, who will have to now get involved with the rugby. There was a knock on there as Ollie Lawrence went to ground, and then a penalty playing the ball on the ground. So unfortunate there from Ollie Lawrence. It was looking good for England, but just ball getting knocked forward as he went to ground there. Appreciate you, Ronnie. Appreciate you in the chat as well. Okay, so Chile, this, and again, this is for me what has made Fiji, I think, so. I want to say yeah, they just don't find touch again. But a mark is called. Marcus Smith indicating that one of his players is injured. So what I was saying is Fiji are able to now, this Fiji of late, make the correct decision more often than not. You're never going to make the correct decision always, but it's how often can you make the right call. And the small things like finding touch. So for example, this is now the third or fourth penalty kick that Chile have not been able to find touch. I mean, you just lose possession, you lose territory. So that's something they will really need to work on. And then it is just knocked on by number 14, Cristol Game. There was no pressure around him. Heads and hands from the coaches. other than that one mistake, I think the number 14, unfortunately, Crystal Game has had a fantastic match so far, but just potentially taking his eyes off the ball and knocking it on. So England now with territory gain and possession on the 10-meter line, all the way on the left-hand side. So again, lots of space for those English backs to run into. Coming up to the 30-minute mark. I feel like England will look to score here once again, at least once more before the half. I think England will be happy if they're able to get a third score. I think they'll be elated with a fourth. The Chileans at the moment, though, being their own worst enemy. Right, Danny Kerr looks to feed the scrum. It is a solider scrum, but the English forwards, they're powering through, earning themselves the penalty advantage here. So something Chile will really have to sort out is their set pieces. Are their set pieces? Max Balin's through a half gap into Marcus Smith. Smith stepping off the right foot. Was it the right call? But here comes, is that Jack Willis fighting his way through there. Danny Kerr, so English still with possession to the left. Now into the centre field. Farrell feeds. David Ribbons takes it into contact. Danny Kerr comes back to the right-hand side, then goes himself. But, I feel like that was definitely stolen. But no, says Jaco Paper. Theodan then to the right. Penalty advantage. And it is number 1, Bevan Rudd, taking it into contact. Then Kyle Sinclair out to the left-hand side. Slow ball. England would be hoping for a bit faster ball there. George Martin, 3 or 4 meters now from the Chilean try line. Chile will look to keep their discipline. Don't want to give away anything in the red zone here. David Ribbons, meter from the line. Danny Kerr, slow ball. Skips out to Farrell. Farrell to Lewis Ludlam. Ludlam held up well in defense there. Slow ball from Danny Kerr. Messy from Danny Kerr, but it does come out the back here. Elliot Daly then to Marcus Smith, all the way back to the 22. Smith having to hot step, beats 1, but then taken down by 2, and ball almost stolen. You do feel like the Chileans, I feel like there should have been 2 Chilean penalties there. I feel like they had access to that ball. Farrell goes quickly, though, for the mark. Long skipping pass over to Henry Arundel and almost scores an identical one to his first try. So the Rugby World Cup debutant getting 2 tries in his first appearance. Again, didn't have to do much of the work, but I think it was, I don't know if it was Daly who fed him that final pass. Might see on the replay here. But Henry Arundel getting 2 tries in his first appearance. So congrats to him. So Owen Farrell recognizing the go quickly, and it was Theodan scoring 1 and being in the assist here. Henry Arundel showing that the space is on. Theodan doing well to find his winger over the try line. Yeah, and it sounds, well, maybe it doesn't sound silly, but all comes from unforced errors. Chile not finding touch, Chile not winning their own lineouts, Chile knocking on from a kick that was no real pressure. Almost a carbon copy of the first kick. So Owen Farrell, has he made the appropriate corrections? He has not. Once again, it draws it across the face of the post to the left-hand side. We see the players on the big screen. Jenny George, they're having a good time. So good work then by Theodan. Take it into space, draw both defenders. And the English fans absolutely loving it. Appreciate more of the likes, guys. Thank you so much. As we said, it's a small gesture, but it makes a big difference on YouTube. There's a lot of illegal streams that sort of try and copy our stream or stream, through us, and then people get confused about which is the legitimate one. So this one, if you hit the like on this one on the Forever Rugby page, this allows the YouTube algorithm to sort out fact from fiction. So I think Ignacio there just not releasing, earning his side of penalty. I think he had a bit of words with Jaco Paper, which then marched 10 meters down the field. And And Ignacio getting strong words from his captain, Martin Seagren, there. So we will have an English line-out. So all England at the moment. Dan goes quickly at the line-out. Here come England again. They are looking to control the pace of the game, but they're going to be brought back. Yaku Paper potentially not happy with the line-out. Maybe not on the mark, but we can see England here very much wanting to dictate the pace of the game, which is better from England. We haven't seen this, so here they come. Surprise, surprise. Theodan finds Ribbons off the top. Then a strong run from Ollie Lawrence through the gap there. Excellent from him. Danny Kerr. Farrell to Malins. Malins, lovely pass. Elliot Daly over the top. 2 bounces. Henry Arundel having to scramble back there, but that was lovely little play from the English backline. Just inside the 22 now. Danny Kerr now brings us to the left-hand side. Once again, Farrell takes to the line inside, but it is knocked on. So knock-on advantage for Chile here. But England trying things, which is nice. Seagren then finds Game on the left-hand side, so on opposite side. Veladra finds Marcus Tess, taking it strongly into contact. Videla looks to box clear and does so. Game gives chase, but gets stepped by Marcus Smith in some space. Beats 1, taken down by the second. Martin Seagren, the captain, holds on to Marcus Smith there. Jack Willis taking it up himself. Danny Kerr then to the left, finds Billy Vanapola. Billy out the back to Owen Farrell, who takes it into contact. English players going down all over the place. Right, Danny Kerr finds Malins. Malins to Daly. Daly then links up nicely with Lewis Ludham on the left wing. Brings it back inside. Takes 2 Chileans to bring him down. Max Malins at scrum half. Looking, finds Martins. Martins into contact. Martins still going 1 meter from the line. Penalty advantage for something. Danny Kerr off. Takes it to his number 1, Bevan Rodd, who gets driven backwards and then gets driven forwards, and try is awarded. So excellent work there from Bevan Rodd, who took the contact, really strong contact from the Chilean defense, but then was thrust forward by his support players. So again, good work from England. I'm sure if you are an English supporter, this is much better than what you've been watching over the last, not just few weeks, but months. I know it is Chile, an emerging rugby nation. However, you do want to be seeing these performances put against these sides, right? Putting away the smaller nations. So Marcus Smith doing well here to get around Game and then stepping back inside, just causing Chilean defense to have to commit more men than they would like to, and therefore space opens up somewhere else. So no problem with the conversion kick for that one Owen Farrell. So here we see Max Malins looking at George Martin. Martin with a strong run upfield. And then here, Rod hit hard on the first, keeps his feet, drives forward, and then over the line. So actually, Bevan Rodd did that by himself. Excellent work from him. Anguish on the face of the Chilean players. They are in for a tough match. I guess the mustache, guys. And Ronnie, I guess your bits are remaining unshaved. For those of you confused, check out the chat. Right, here we go again. Fernandez, shorter kick this time, but collected well by George Martin. Danny Kerr. Farrell has a look, hoists it high. Arundel gives chase. And Arundel collects. Lovely work, and a strong leg drive then, making plenty of meters now. England one quick ball here. Ollie Lawrence playing scrum half, finds Carl Sinclair, who spins the first tackle. Kerr then links up Smith. Smith then finds Farrell. Farrell out to Daly. Daly running sideways a bit. Tries to do a bit of switch with Malins, but the ball goes to the ground. Pounced on by the Chileans. Here they come now. Videla taking it into contact. Garafulik there in support, but it does look like it has been stolen. Absolutely it has. Danny Kerr all the way back then to Marcus Smith, looking for the space. A little chip over the top, but lots of bodies in the way there. Maybe not the best decision. Penalty advantage. A stab through from Chile. Lovely little kick, but they will come back for the penalty. I think it was for offsides. Jack Willis, I think, getting penalised. dink over the top from Uros there, but being brought back for the penalty. So again, Chile now in the centre of the field, quite far out. I can't imagine they'll be going for the posts, but definitely be looking to find touch here. No, Alan, I didn't, and I will do that at half-time. Mervyn Hughes, half-time, 100%. Right, Uros, the man in the blue scrum cap, the Chilean fullback, will look to find touch. And does. All right, first job done. Find touch. Excellent. Second job, win the line out. So again, those two things the Chileans have really struggled to do. They haven't quite been able to get into the game. I mean, in that first, 10, 15 minutes, we saw moments of exciting Chilean rugby. They were linking up with each other nicely, finding holes in the English defense. But it's these small things that basics that they've not been able to complete. And they do find Martin Sigrid in the line out. So better from the Chileans. Here they go, trying to get this rolling ball, marching up the field. English forwards doing well to disrupt it, though. Bome has it at the back. Martin Jaco Paper, says use it once. Does spin around and go down, and it is turned over by the English. Again, this is just potentially trying to milk a bit too much distance, the Chileans there, not knowing when it is the best time to release that ball, rather give it out to the backs as opposed to trying to make too many meters and then it gets messy. But better from the Chileans in the sense of finding touch, winning your line out. English supporters in the crowd loving it, and why not? Good performance from their team so far with 2 minutes to go, not even minutes and 10 seconds to go. Do you think they can get on to the scoreboard once more? Merv the swerve. Okay, so 71% possession for England. I think that is, pretty fair representation of what we've seen. As I said, Chileans showing some good moments with ball in hand, however, just not being able to secure much ball in hand. Right, Kerr feeds the scrum. It comes up quickly, finds Farrell. Farrell to Daly. Daly hoists one downfield. But I believe it is Gem who collects well. Looks to offload, but rather finds George Martin, and it was Fernandez, So now England on attack. They'll be looking to get on the scoreboard. Once more, Marcus Smith through a half gap. No one at home. Chips it forward. Can he collect? Yes, he can. Marcus Smith with an excellent individual try. Brilliant work from Marcus Smith. That's what he can do. That's what he's been brought in to do. Great work there from the English fullback. I think Smith at 15 looks a lot better as opposed to Smith at 10. But that is my personal opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think? But, geez, great bit of work there from the English fullback to recognize the space, chip it through, keep it in play, collect your own, and score a try all the way on the left-hand side. So good work. So just, again, an unforced error here by the Chileans trying to offload there in contact, finding an English player. Farrell feeding it through to Smith. Smith then recognizing no one at home and has too much gas. Garafulik not able to catch him, and Smith scoring an excellent try. Really, really nice work from the English. As much as it pains me to say, but the English are looking good. Okay, Owen Farrell with the final kick of the first half. We are 41 minutes in. He missed two from the right-hand touchline. This one is all the way up against the left. So Owen Farrell, wraps it round. Better from Owen Farrell and slots it through the post. So good work from Owen Farrell. So we end the first half at 31 points to nothing. I think England have come out and clearly made a statement on what they want to do. They are looking pretty good. Chile need to get into the game. They need to make sure that they are keeping possession and making the correct call most of the time. Finding touch, keeping possession, When they have had ball in hand, they've looked really threatening. But thanks, guys, so much for joining the first half, where England are leading Chile 31 points to nothing. I'm going to go take a quick break. I'm also going to Google Mervyn Hughes. But I will be back in about 5 to 10 minutes and to take you through the second half.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reese. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
everybody, Stevie P here from Forever Sports, and I'm here to tell you about BOYLESPORTS, the official betting partner of Forever Sports. Across all of our channels, they are one of the leading betting companies in the world and have recently launched in South Africa with an amazing offering. You can get a 1,000 Rand welcome offer. For the rugby, they are giving you 25% payout boost up to 2,000 Rand on the Springboks winning the World Cup, as well as an extra 50 Rand bet when you stake 250 more on rugby during the Rugby World Cup. It is your one-stop betting shop. That is BOYLESPORTS. Come and join us in the community. Check the links in the description to sign up, get yourself an account, and make sure that you are winning big with BOYLESPORTS. Hello and welcome to Fair Rugby on Fair Sport for today's World Rugby Rankings preview. The third round of the Rugby World Cup gets underway tonight, and with it, there are a lot of permutations, lots of things that can happen, lots on the line with regards to how the world rankings are affected, especially because the number one spot is up for grabs. 1 versus 2 in the Springboks versus Ireland this weekend, which will affect the number one spot. Ireland have got an opportunity to put themselves way ahead, whilst the Springboks got an opportunity to try and get themselves back to being, at least from a ranking perspective, the best in the world, as they currently compete to be named the best in the world. And after a 7-1 split announcement yesterday, very interested to see what will happen between South Africa and Ireland. Now, before I look at some of the permutations, and there are quite a few of them, so you're going to have to sort of buckle a little bit and understand exactly what is on offer and at stake this weekend. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, let's go through them, shall we? So World Rugby has published these ranking permutations, so it's a bit of a preview as to what's going to happen over the next few days in terms of the different clashes. Now, if you're new to the ranking system, there's a whole bunch of things that usually come into play. However, at the moment, there is no home or away advantage, which usually does come into play. But because these are all neutral grounds, for example, even France, it's a neutral game because it is a tournament. They will not receive any different ranking points due to them having the home ground advantage, which means the only thing that are currently affecting the rankings are a win, loss, or draw, and then a win or loss by 15 or more points. So those are the only factors that are affecting the rankings, not home and away as well, which usually come into it. Obviously, what does affect the amount of points you can get for those sort of different factors will still depend on sort of the ranking of the team you're playing against. So, for example, there are more ranking points on offer when you play against a higher team than when you play a low-ranked team. So, let's have a look at it, shall we? Now, the first thing is the number one ranking is on the line in the Pool B encounter between Ireland and South Africa. At St. Denis on Saturday. South Africa could end Ireland's 14-month reign at the top if they are to win. And Andy Farrell's men will actually drop down to third. So Ireland will go down to third if France are victorious over Namibia. And if you've seen that French side, I think it's a pretty good bet. This is despite the fact that the World Cup hosts cannot improve their rating as a result of the 28.98 rating points between the two sides. However, Ireland will hold on to the number one ranking if they draw with South Africa, even though it won't be a lot of points. So if they draw, they will still hold on to the world ranking, world number one, but they'll be only number one by 0.09 points. A win would see Ireland's cushion over South Africa grow to as much as 6.05 ranking points if the margin of victory is more than 15 points. If beaten, South Africa will also slip below France, a victorious France, into third place. So a win first, a loss third. We won't stay second, as far as I understand, this weekend. Defeat for France, however, would see them drop below New Zealand, who do not play this weekend, into fourth place. However, they can fall no further than fourth. So the top four teams will not change with regards to anybody moving into the top four. That just the positions of them might change as well. Two other teams that are unable to improve their rating points are England and Scotland. Even if they have victories over Chile and Tonga, respectively. England's rating is 22.75 points better than Chile's, while Scotland's is 13.4 points higher than Tonga's. Scotland and England, therefore, will remain 5th and 6th, respectively, with victories. England could move above Scotland if they were to win and Scotland were to lose. If Scotland were to lose, they could be falling as many as 5 places to 10th if they were to lose to Tonga, depending on other margins and results. A defeat could see England drop to a new low of 9th, depending on other results. A draw between Wales and Australia, one of the biggest clashes of the weekend, could actually could see their Pool C rivals Fiji climb 1 place to equal their base position of 7th at the expense of the Welsh, whilst Fiji, who do not play this weekend, could actually jump as high as 5th if England and Scotland both lose and Australia and Wales draw. Australia will fall to a new low of 10th if they lose their Pool C meeting with Wales and Argentina beat Samoa. However, victory for the Wallabies could see them jump as high as 5th in the event that England and Scotland both suffer shock defeat. So England and Scotland lose, Australia win, they can go up to 5th. Defeat for Samoa will see them drop down to 2 places to 13th if Italy and Georgia beat the lower-ranked Uruguay and Portugal, whilst a win for Samoa will see them rise to 9th, climbing above both Argentina and the loser of the Wales-Australia match. Mali Samoa have not been ranked as high as 9th since 2015. Portugal will become the higher ranked of the two nations for the first time if they beat Georgia in Toulouse, whilst they have not beaten their rivals since 2005, but a new high awaits them if they can record their first ever World Cup win. Portugal could climb as high as 13th, depending on the margin of victory and the result of other matches. Georgia, on the other hand, will fall 1 place below Japan if held to a second draw in as many years by Portugal, 2 if Tonga shocks Scotland. They can only improve on their 13th place in victory if Italy fail to beat Uruguay or Samoa are beaten by Argentina. If both of them lose, then Georgia will climb to 11th, the record-equaling position they were in when the tournament kicked off. Uruguay will have to beat Italy by more than 15 points to become the higher ranked of the two nations, a scenario which should see them equal their highest position of 14th. Defeat for Italy would see them fall 2 places, between 2 and 4 places, depending on the margin and results of teams around them. A win for Tonga against Scotland will see them climb above at least Japan, with the Brave Blossoms not playing this weekend. Any further games will depend on the margin of victory and other results. Namibia will return to the top 20 for the first time since 2017 if they can beat France, whilst Chile can enter the top 20 for the first time if they can upset England and record their first ever World Cup victory, and Namibia fail to beat France. Simple. So there's a lot going on, and that's the nice thing about World Cups. There's so many matches, differently ranked teams and stuff like that. So some games have a lot of jeopardy, some of them have no jeopardy. The big thing for me is obviously that first spot, first place is up for grabs. After that, I think the 5th, 6th, 7th is interesting. Wales is going to be interesting. Wales, Australia, they could be falling quite low or rising quite high. So there's a lot to play for this weekend with regards to the rankings, if you count them all, and if you really sort of high them in high esteem, which a lot of people don't. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Can South Africa beat Ireland? Who will be the number 1 ranked side come Monday? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon.
Welcome back, everyone, from the halftime break. We're about to get things underway once again. England leading Chile by quite a convincing margin. Some interesting chat going on in the chat at the moment. So first of all, I did indeed Google Mervyn Hughes. That is quite the stash. I'll have to see if I can do that next time. Keep the handlebars to go all the way down. Then you're going to really see Merv the Swerve out in action. Yeah, Sean Hawes here in the chat there saying, don't think Faz should be playing. It's Ford and Smith, even Smith starting. He brings that attacking. He absolutely does, and that's what he's done. He's played to his strengths. He's coming at first receiver sometimes. He's coming at second receiver. He inserts himself where he needs to. So I think he's done really well. But we'll get to the rest of the comments in just a bit because play is going underway once again. So Chile now from left to right on your screens. And we got it kicked off. Billy Villapola takes it into contact. A little bit of a rolling more here from the English forwards. Penalty, though, to the English players. So the Chileans deemed to have coming in through the side. So again, discipline issues for the Southern Americans. Terry Scott saying, I'll be glad when these stages are over. Lambs to the slaughter. Describe some of these matches. I just don't watch them. And again, this is something I actually wanted to chat in the fan forum, I think, in this coming week. So if you're not sure, or if you don't know, guys, we do a live fan forum every Thursday. We do post it to the channel afterwards, but make sure you check those out. But it is something I definitely wanted to touch on, the safety aspect of these types of matchups. Anyway, England have gone to the line and the line out to the top, but dealt, or deemed rather, not straight. So uncharacteristic there. I think Theo Dan's been excellent the whole match, but his first skew line out. So England's attack opportunity goes begging, but now we have Chile with an opportunity. I think they are going to choose the scrum. The line out's also not been the greatest. But back to the point I was saying earlier, we've seen lots of comments about the 7-1 split from certain pundits and about how that is amoral and is not safe. I think what could potentially be a lot less safe, more dangerous, is having such teams who play such little competitive rugby at an intense level, then come up against sides who are used to that competitive level. And it really hits home in the Namibia-France game where, and even the Namibia-New Zealand game, that for me is more dangerous. Scrum time, the Chileans earn themselves a penalty, so good work from the Chilean forwards there. That for me is more dangerous than the 7-1 split. Now, I'm not advocating that we stop these competitions, because I think, like as Jolie said there in the chat, she says, hi, I understand Chile is no competitor against England, but if Chile lose less than 50 to nothing, it's a little advance. England are an amazing team. Yeah, so, sorry, Chile have just called for the scrum here instead of going to the line, so clearly not backing their line out, which again, interesting decision to not take the territory advantage. So I'm not saying we stop these matchups, but I do think there needs to be more of an effort to include these sides in more test games before the World Cup, so that both teams, or at least the emerging rugby nations, are conditioned at playing this level of pace. Like, I don't know what you guys think. I don't know, if we look to do a world circuit, but then, excuse me, international timings and stuff don't work out, and club games and all that. So I get that's why it's difficult, but we need to find a way to address the lack of game time these emerging rugby nations get, because they just aren't able to compete. So Chile choose the scrum option, but then concede a penalty at scrum time. So again, a very perplexing decision by the Chileans. I think it was Mateus Dittus just overextending and then losing his footing. Farrell wasting no time and going to the line again. England dictating the pace of the game. We can just see Dittus just overextending and then not being able to keep it. But yeah, so I do feel that there needs to be more rugby for these sides. The Chiles, the Namibias, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji. Fiji have been able to do excellent work given just how little rugby they've been able to play. Right, England with a good opportunity for attack here on about the 6-meter. Again, Theo Dan and David Ribbons line up. Sack deemed no good, so it brought down illegally. So penalty advantage to the English now. Massive license to play here. 5 meters out. Danny Kerr finds, well, I thought it was Ludlam, but I think Sinclair just snuck in front there. Danny Kerr looks left, goes right, takes it flat to the line. Benny Vanapola given a bit of a sellout. Chileans all over that ball, a bit scrappy on the floor. And we'll come back for the penalty. Now, Jaco Paper, I think, looked like he was going to the pockets. He has gone to the pockets. And it is Mateus Dittus with a yellow card. That is his second yellow card this World Cup. And it is Chile's 5th in 3 games. So the Chileans are not able to keep a clean sheet this match. Dittus, I think they're just suffering from repeated penalties in the red zone. Buffalo, great to have you here. Thanks from Cape Town. Alan, they're saying cost prohibitive for the smaller nations. Yeah, absolutely. The cost of flying out and playing and paying players and such is really, really difficult. So, does World Rugby look to give bursaries to the emerging nations? Do they look to sponsor from revenues generated from things like World Cups? How does that look? In the meantime, England are off to the races with their line out and a rolling maul. Looks really promising over the line, and they are over for their first try of the second half. Off to a much quicker start are England in the second half. That's just within 5 minutes. And who is it? Is it Theo Dan who comes up? I believe it is. Camera's staying on Theo Dan. So Theo Dan earning his second try of the game. Really good work. Yeah, that's it. Confirmed there. Theo Dan with his second try. And again, the English faces a lot more joyous than in recent weeks. So England looking like they're getting the job done here. Again, where it comes from, this is Chile potentially not making the right decision. Choosing to go for scrum over the kicking down the field, getting out of your half, taking the line out, then losing that scrum and conceding a penalty, then being driven all the way down the field. But they are a man down in the forwards as well now, with Mateus Dittus off the field with that yellow card for sort of repeated infringements. So Chile's day just got a whole lot tougher, down to 14 men now for the next 8 and a bit minutes. Rodrigo Fernandez gets us underway. Picks out George Martin. Caught outside the 22, so England can't clear directly. So Danny Care will look to set up a box kick. And does so. No pressure on Danny Care there. Very competable, but it is Game who takes it nicely for the Chilean side. He is, though, driven out by the English defenders. Very, very difficult. Again, Chile needing to just try and keep the ball a bit more. Again, gaining possession, losing possession. Jolie in the chat there saying Fiji beat Australia, surprisingly very powered team. Fiji, they were very good at 7s, now in 15s are playing much better. Yeah, Jolie, this has been something I think the rugby world has been quite pleased with, has been Fiji's rise in success. And again, we'll have to look at the model on how they've been able to do that because, again, like many other emerging rugby nations, they don't get much game time. And so they've been able to do a lot with a little. Right, so a bit of kick back and forth here. Now Farrell takes it flat to the line, finds Ludlam up the left-hand side. Danny Care then out to the right to Sinclair. Sinclair out the back to Smith. Smith then firing it in centre field too. Lovely bit of play here from the English. Now out to the right-hand side. Elliot Daly, ball in hand, stabs it through. No one home for the Chileans. 3 Englishmen running onto it. Game knocks it on. Henry Arundel picks it up, and he will score his 3rd try of the game. What a Rugby World Cup debut Henry Arundel is having for England. Good work from the English there. Looked really exciting and dynamic. So much better from the English side. I think we can all agree. And quite exciting to see when Smith starts to come into the line. You've just got another attacking option. I know they've, sometimes they've looked at having George Ford at 10 and then potentially Owen Farrell at 12 and then Smith at 15. I mean, you've got sort of 3 playmakers on the field there. Anyone can slot in, but it was a fantastic kick through. I think it was Elliot Daly, just weighted it perfectly. And Crystal Game just not able to collect it cleanly. And Henry Arundel saying, thank you very much. I'll have that. Good footwork there from the number 14. Great for him to score his try. Ronnie saying England need to be clinical now, push on and give us more tries, please. Ronnie, yeah, this is, I think, something they'll look to do. If you haven't already, make sure you vote in that poll. So we've got how many tries will England score by the end. We were on 5 at halftime. We are now, what, at 2? More, so 7. So potentially we might need more options in the poll there. Right, Farrell slots that one, no issues, being a bit closer in. It was indeed Elliot Daly stabbing a lovely weighted kick through. But the job was not done. Arundel had to show a bit of football skills there. He's got a Fulik trying to inspire his troops and get the Chileans on the scoreboard at least. So George Ford is on the field. And we are going to see Danny Care come off. So Young's on for Care. And George Ford is on for Elliot Daly. So Elliot Daly's day is done. So there we go. We've got the 3 men I was talking about on the field now. George Ford, Owen Farrell, and Marcus Smith. So 3 playmakers in key positions. But Chile here on a good little run down the left-hand side, able to win their own kickoff. So excellent work by the Chileans. Videla now looking to conduct his troops just inside of the English 22. He goes to the left-hand side. Not much room down there. Strong run from 21, which is Raimundo Martinez. Still 4 minutes on that yellow card. Penalty to Chile I think it is one of the Englishmen, Theo Dan, just not being able to roll away, getting pinned down in that tackle. Okay, decision time. Very kickable penalty, but the 3 points doesn't get you much. So Uros, the 15, will look to go to the touchline and try get his team on the board. So again, their lineout has been weak. Alan's saying Fiji have always been very capable, but not consistent. Alan, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Capable, definitely. I think, and that's the same for Samoa and Tonga. I think capable is correct. It's consistency, and that's what I'm saying is Fiji are making the right decision most of the time. And if you can get that creeping up to as close to 100%, then you're in a really good place as a rugby playing nation. Okay, but back to the action on screen. Chile now need to win the line out. They go to the front, find the number 5, Iceman, countered strongly by the English defenders, though. So the rolling more going backwards and then going to the left. So a little bit of messy, but it does come out. Videla thinks about it, but picks and goes back into traffic. No 9 now, so Garafulik has to come in and play distributor. Garafulik then finds the big men. In the English 22 here, good opportunity for the Chileans. 21, Martinez taking it into contact once again. Filippola being pinned down, but not cynically. Clemente Saavedra taking it into contact. There's slow ball here for the Chileans. Right, out to Garafulik. Garafulik bobbles, but collects. Still on his feet. Good work, Jack Willis, all over that ball. You do feel like he might have access to it. He doesn't pick and go from Escobar. Knees on the ground, have to release, tackle called. Videla then out to the left. So the Chileans doing well to keep possession, but not really making much ground. So you do feel like something has to break. Fernandez, little kick over the top, but too deep. And Marcus Smith collects, calls the mark, takes it quickly, and takes it to the line and hoops one downfield. Now there are some Chileans back there. Fernandez being one of those, collects, gives it out to Escobar. Escobar runs through or around Marcus Smith. Pushing and shoving going on, but the ball stays alive. England really, really upping the pace there. Now you feel like Willis is all over this, but not able to collect. Sigren steps around one, takes it into contact. Videla out to Iceman. Iceman, Fernandez. Fernandez, Garafulik. Better from the Chileans. Step off the right foot. You just feel like there's a man missing. Garafulik doing really well to evade those tackles. Videla again comes to the right-hand side. Iceman with a strong run, or was that Martinez? But it is stripped away, I believe, by Max Malins. Does well to strip it in the tackle. Then isolated, though. The Chileans turn it over with Crystal Game poaching that at an uncontested ruck there. Now, back with the Chileans to the left-hand side. Videla finds Iceman. Videla then to Luis. Luis out the back to his 15, Oroz. Comes back out to the right-hand side. So once again, Chile doing well to keep possession. They do earn themselves a penalty advantage, but just not making much ground. So Ollie Lawrence penalized there for going sort of off his feet to the ruck, hands on the ground before going for the ball. So it's probably, the most possession we've seen Chile with all match, not really able to penetrate the English defense. So the English defense will be pleased with that. The Chileans now look to drive it downfield. Again, job number 1, fine touch. And then job number 2, win your line out. Alan played with some Fijian players in the early 70s. They were awesome. That's excellent. Were you, was it club rugby? Where were you playing? That must have been fantastic. Yeah, I was playing with, sort of players from the Pacific Island nations. It's just quite something. Skills they possess naturally. And the speed and size is something else. So yeah, played with a few Tongans, a few Samoans in my time. They are fantastic rugby players, so passionate as well. So we are seeing a host of changes here. I do think the entire English front row has come off. We see Rod, Dan, and Sinclair come off. So a whole new English front row. Joe Marler on the field, as well as Jack Walker and Will Stewart. So the Chileans' day just got a whole lot harder. But they do have a full complement now, back to 15 on 15. So Dittis back on the field, and his legs are relatively fresh. Thank you so much, guys, once again for joining us here on Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. The support is appreciated. Again, many ways you can support us. Oh, Ludlam is also off. Ollie Chesham is on. Many ways you can support us: liking the video, subscribing. Very, very easy way to support us. If you can become a channel member, that's also epic. Right, Chile, job number 1, found touch, good. Job number 2, they do win their line out, good. Here they come around the left-hand side. Strong tackle there from the English defense, though, but it was Augusto Boma taking it in. It is spilt forwards, though, so in possession when it mattered, not being able to be retained for the Chileans. Hoof downfield by the English. It is collected under a bit of pressure. Oroz does well, though, then off to the left. Nice little interplay there from Domingo Saavedra. But now it's been turned over. And number 19 for England, Ollie Chesham, driving strongly up the field. Ben Young's, of course, on the field now, conducting things at ruck time. Young's, Billy Vidapola out the back to Farrell. Farrell finds Smith, 2-on-1. Max Malins chips over the top. Bounces. Oroz does well to collect at the back. So again, threatening attack from England, the Chileans. Nicely done to protect that ball. And now they'll need to look to exit well. No doubt the Sunday leagues were a good time, Alan. Right, Videla finds Fernandez. Fernandez downfield, but again not finding touch. Rather into the arms of Smith. Smith feeds. Was it a forward pass? It seems to have been dealt forward, and it looks like 22 yards onto George forward. So it was a forward pass. Uncharacteristic mistake there. Akupepa doing a lot of explaining. It looks like it might be English possession, though. It's just having a look what's going on. We come back to the English penalty. Looks like no arms in the tackle. So lots happening. But I think it was Escobar. Alfonso Escobar getting penalized for no arms tackle. So Owen Farrell will do what Owen Farrell does and kick for the line. Put the English in a good position here. Lovely link up from Farrell. Skips George Ford. Okay, so there we see the penalty. Tough one on Escobar, but just obstructing Ford there. Not using his arms. So we are now seeing some replacements for Chile. Bome coming off, and I believe it was Thomas Duliseland coming on the field. But in the meantime, here come the English. Benny Villapola taking it off the back of the lineup. Their ball coming loose. And it does seem to be turned over, and it absolutely is great work by the Chilean defense there. Managed to turn over, I think it was indeed 21, Raimundo Martinez. Stewart just getting isolated and the ball being poached. So again, we heard it earlier. Ronnie was saying England needs to be clinical. They've scored rapidly, but now they need to keep that pressure going. And this is not what you call being clinical. There's been a few visits now in the second half into the 22, and a few of them have resulted with no points. Uroz clears, takes us just to about the 10 meter, still inside Chilean territory. To be fair, though, it was, I think it was Stewart who just dove on the ball as it spilt loose, so not much. A little quick front of the line out work by the Chileans, a little bit of innovation, well, not really innovation, but variation there. Then Videla out to Martinez. Videla boxes over the top. Game gives chase, very competitive, able to disrupt. Looks like a knock on or knock backwards, rather, says paper, play on. So England managing to retain possession here. About 58 minutes done, just over 22 minutes to go. Hoisted over the top. No one's able to collect that cleanly. It does go out into touch, though. I think it was knocked backwards by Ribbons. So we will have a Chilean line out. It's Ben Young's boxing. Looking at some of your stats, meters made, 620 for the English side, 320 or 316 for the Chileans. So, yeah, vast difference there in, I think, possession and meters made. So the front of the lineup, they go. It's a bit messy, but they do retain possession. Rodrigo Fernandez then out to strongly tackled, though the English player finding himself in an awkward position. Martin Sigren, Captain Sigren, taking it behind the gain line. Videla, Fernandez out to Saavedra, Domingo Saavedra. There are two brothers in the field. Clemente in a lock pairing and Domingo Saavedra in the outside centre. Videla recognises no real way forward there, kicks it over the top, but again, a bit too deep into the arms of Marcus Smith. Then Max Malin's sort of stepping through, identifying half a gap and accelerating through it. Ben Young's now. Lovely handiwork there from George Ford. Advantage though, or backwards at least. See, I can't quite tell with Paper's arm there. George Ford then, nice little option. Finds Arundel right on the right-hand side line. Chips it over the top. Bounce needs to be favourable, and it is. Arundel scores his 4th try, and arguably the best one he's scored yet. Great work from him. But again, this is what you get when you've got 3 playmakers on the field. That was George Ford there taking to the line and identifying the right option. Arundel chipping over the last defender in Oroz, and bounces favourable, collects and scores his 4th try of the day. So excellent work. Henry Arundel putting in the match performance with his tries at least. But England doing well to keep that scoreboard ticking over. 4 tries in his first Rugby World Cup game. Impressive stats from the English winger. While we wait for the kick, guys, to happen, once again, just a big thank you to our sponsors, one of those being Bitdefender. So as we have a quick break here, time to chat to you about another cool feature which Bitdefender's offering. Regain control of your own devices with Bitdefender's microphone monitor. Use it and you can see what apps have access to your device's microphone and when. If you want to learn more about Bitdefender's microphone monitor, then please click on the link in the description down below. Owen Farrell making easy work of that conversion. We do go to 50 points now. So England lead Chile 50 points, or 52 points, excuse me, to nothing. Arundel showing his class. Got some wise people in the chat here, clearly. Ronnie there saying, played my rugby in New Cross County, Waxford. He taught Ty Furlong everything he knows. Well, Ronnie, let's hope you didn't teach him too much, because we need him to have an okay game tonight. And I say we, the South Africans. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure he's going to do what he does, which is a lot. All right, back to the action here. The Chileans have managed to retain possession from their kickoff. But as I say that, the attempt to pick and go was the substitute hooker, Thomas Dusaliant, and just knocking it on in the contact. But do make sure, guys, you do tune in for tonight's clash between South Africa and Ireland. Stevie P will be taking you through that one. But I'll be back with you tomorrow then again for Scotland and Tonga. So that will also be quite a clash. And then the big one tomorrow is Wales, Australia. I know Alan's looking forward to that one. I think, again, as rugby neutrals in that one, I'm absolutely looking forward to. My money is on Wales. I do think they can put together a better performance. I think Australia are doing a bit of soul searching at the moment. So a couple substitutes here for Chile. Escobar comes off. I think he's put in a good shift. He's done what he's needed to do. It's just unfortunately not been enough. So we do have an English feed at the scrum. Youngs waits. The English forwards just marks the scrum at the Filippo, says that's enough. That was forward. Yeah, could see that from here. Interesting that Youngs forced that pass. I mean, he could clearly see Marcus Smith, and maybe Marcus Smith just a bit too eager. Again, no real reason to be that flat. It was always your ball. So an unforced error there by the English. Again, just not being as clinical as potentially fans would like them to be. Inaki Ayarza is on the field, number 23 for Chile. I thought he was absolutely massive in their previous game. So exciting. It's an exciting runner, so interesting to see what he can do. Meanwhile, the Chileans, scrum time. They managed to get the ball out quickly. They've earned themselves a penalty advantage. It does go to ground, though. The ball, again, just not able to link up with one another. So the English forwards being penalised. Might have been Joe Marler there. Dark arts at scrum time. I think the Chileans now will really look to, their small victory margins will be, can they get on the scoreboard and can they get on with a try? I think in those first 15 minutes of the first half, it looked like they really would. They were finding plenty of holes in the English defense. Their interplay was beautiful, the way they were linking up. Their inside passes, so we haven't seen that the second half. But in the first half, we saw them sort of looking to go wide and then just zip one back inside every now and then, earning them many meters. Not something we've seen in the second half. Another area they've struggled with is line-out time, so they'll look to tidy this up. Will Thomas Duxeliant see if he can find his target, and he does not. An overthrow, just a bit of miscomms there from the Chilean forwards. Frustrating stuff. So out we go. Owen Farrell eventually kicking the ball, not finding touch. Ayarza collecting. Again, what can he do now? First real run for him. Gets round one. Again, this is how exciting B. Steps another and then taken down eventually. There's a penalty advantage. Will show and go from Videla, but he's snapped up quickly. And we will come back for the penalty advantage all the way on the English 22. Ronnie, that's excellent. Ronnie saying he taught Typhoid on everything he knows, but he's a scrum half, so good. Well, clearly, if you taught him everything he knows, then you've got the brain of a prop, which is a compliment, I promise, not an insult. Because Typhoid on, one of the forces of nature. What a game that's going to be. But still 15 minutes left in this game as we see a Mexican wave now start to make its way around the stadium. Again, the Chileans really need to just win their own set pieces. We are going to have a little break in play here as an English player is down. Alan and Ronnie both scrum halves. Excellent work. But once again, guys, massive thank you for joining in to the stream today. Really appreciate it. And thank you for hitting that like button. There we go. That's more like it. 30 likes. Appreciate you. Still 125 of you watching at the moment. So it could be more. Just currently. So still missing a few likes. So if you're not doing anything, you haven't hit that like button, go do it, please. Again, just shows the algorithm, shows YouTube that we are legit, that you guys are enjoying, and it can then recommend it out to other people when people do search and they want to follow along with the game. Really, really helps. We really appreciate it. But not many more rounds left of the group stages. But back to the game at hand. So Chilean line out 5 meters from the English try line. They go to the front. They find Sigren, or Martinez, excuse me. Solid rolling maul set, but the English have done well to disrupt it. It's turned all over the place. Now the Chileans facing the wrong direction. So you do feel like this ball is going to be held up. If it goes to ground, it's going to be a turnover. No idea where the ball is in this. They need to work it out. Videla desperately, it has popped out on the English side. So the English forwards just making an absolute nuisance of themselves, not allowing the Chileans to get any kind of purchase. Frustrating, the Chilean forwards will be, no doubt. Just unable to get into the game at all. Tough stuff. It was knocked forward there, actually, as it did go to ground, but either way, the result is the same. I think Believe in Pola is coming off. I think he's had a pretty solid afternoon. don't think he's done an immense amount, but he's been solid. He's been consistent. He's done what he's needed to do. He's carried strongly. And we do see the ever smiling, ever enthusiastic Ben Earls come onto the field. So with 14 minutes to go. And he had a better game last week. So he will be looking to have an impact straight off the bench. Right, so we reset for the scrum. It is now English possession. Still quite a high pressurized scrum, although the English haven't really been troubled by the Chilean forwards this evening. Young's feeds. Strong shove from the English forwards there. Undoubtedly will earn themselves the penalty. They do. Earls picks and goes. A little bit of a switch here with Farrell. Then finds Ford, then finds Malins. Malins over the top. And advantage Jakub Paper deems to have been over. So Chile now with ball in hand. Videla finds number 17, Vittorio Lastra. Videla now to the right. Martin Sigren tries to loop it out the back. Just too many bodies in the way. So Rodrigo Fernandez still with ball in hand, not really sure where to go, needs to make a decision, does eventually take it up and gets taken to ground. But turned over well. Jack Willis able to effect that steal. So good opportunity here for England to counter-attack Ford. Ford finds Farrell. Farrell to Ollie Lawrence. Farrell again. Joe Marler takes it up. No headers from Joe Marler this time. Right. Youngs to then Farrell. Farrell to Ford. Ford to, I think it's Ollie Chesham. Youngs, Ford to Smith now. Smith threads a lovely pass to David Ribbons. See, this is what I'm talking about. These attacking playmakers, when you've got so many in the line, any one of them could take it to the line and pop it out. Right, Youngs, Ford to Lawrence. Lawrence to Smith. Smith is through. Smith finds Henry Arundel, who will score his 5th try of the match. This is turning into be. If you've got Henry Arundel on your fancy team, I feel like you've won. You've won. This is a excellent performance from the young man. But I mean, great sort of team try there. And again, how exciting that English backline looks with Farrell, Ford, and Smith. Any one of those players can take it to the line. But it all came from the hard work of Jack Willis there, able to effect that turnover. But really thought Smith might have been able to step here and go himself, but he didn't. Unselfishly gave it to his teammate. Ronnie saying there, I thought Chile would get 1 or 2 penalties, but England disciplined good today. I guess Farrell learned how to tackle. He had his dad a word. Yeah, absolutely. I think, Ronnie, on that, Chile were in positions to take 3 points, but by the time they were in that position, they were 20, 30 points down. So they thought, well, no point going to the line. We just might as no point going for the conversion penalty kick. We'll just go to the line. But it is always a tough day when you come away with no points on the board. There's still 11 minutes left, or 10 minutes soon. But no, I would have agreed with you. I would have thought they would have somehow managed to get onto the scoreboard. Campo 675. All the talk of gap closing between tier 1, tier 2 is just rubbish. It's just that Australia, Wales, and Argentina have been looking really bad. Got to say this, it has been a boring World Cup. Campo, really feel that way? Feel like it's been boring? I don't know. I just love Rugby World Cups. I think it's almost like F1, and maybe I lose a lot of you here and the eyes just glaze over. But with Formula One, if you're only interested in who wins, then at the moment, Formula One is going to be very boring for you because it's going to be Max Verstappen, pretty much. But if you are interested in the smaller teams and where they fall, that race then becomes a whole lot more dynamic. And so for me, yes, obviously, I'm interested about who goes through to the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and who ultimately wins. But it is fantastic to see sides like Chile competing in their first Rugby World Cup, to see sides like Portugal today come back for the first time in 16 years, still looking for their first win. Well, a bit untidy here as we go from the restart. It does bounce. Arundel might be in for his next try, though. He's well tackled down the sideline and eventually taken out, but he was steaming away there. But a bit of confusion about what was actually going. The ball did bounce, and then we are going to come back, I think, for a Chilean line-out, and they go quickly, but Jacob Paper says none of that. Yeah, sorry. So I was saying, I don't know. I like to see these sides, and yes, absolutely, Campo. I agree with you. I think Argentina have not been the side we saw in the Rugby Championship and the side that they've been building to be, which is disappointing. I think Wales and Australia are a bit lost and doing a bit of soul searching. So yeah, in terms of your top sort of developed rugby nations, they're not quite where you'd want them to be. However, yeah, it is great to see some of the sides like Fiji, come through and be competitive, right? And be a real threat to these sides. I think the gap is closing, not as much as we'd like, but I do think, personally, again, that's just my opinion, but it's not proportional, right? So when we say the gap is closing, not all developing rugby nations or tier 2 nations are rising at the same speed. And it's about, well, how do we try do that? How do we get it so that everyone is slightly better? As opposed to just one side, Fiji, being better. Or maybe that's the approach you need to take. Maybe you need to focus in on one side, develop them. Right, the Chileans go to the front of the line-out. They do get driven backwards, but the ball is available. So they've done well to retain possession in the English 22. This would be great if Chile can get on the scoreboard here with 8 minutes to go, or 7.5. Videla out to his big men, long flat pass. English defense up quickly. It is number 20 there, Thomas Orchard, taking it into contact. Videla out to Dusaliant. Jack Willis making the ruck a bit messy. Fernandez, the English defense, coming up very quickly, not allowing the Chileans to make any sort of decisions, being driven back just on the edge of the 22 now. Number 17, Vitro Lastra, taking them back into the 22. Jack Willis off his feet. Videla out to Ayarza. Ayarza got a Fulik, but just behind him, so it is not backwards. Chileans will remain with possession. Ayarza again. Where can he do from here? Beats one, hands it off to Game. Says, here we go, mate. You take this into contact. So again, Chile, there was a knock on there, but Jacob says play on. Right, Siegelin taking it into contact. Videla, do you feel like it is going to be a penalty? Yeah, I think it was Ribbons just coming through. They've gone quickly, Videla has. Takes it upfield. Feeds to Ciliant, who's isolated, but we will come back because the English weren't 10 meters. So here, this is an opportunity, right? So they got a penalty, it's very kickable, but you're 57 points down. Do you go for the 3 points and just get on the scoreboard? They will rather look to go to the line, which is exactly what's going to happen. Oroz, the fullback, he's had a long day. He'll look to kick to the line for them. Yeah, having a look at some of the matching sort of pairings that could potentially happen, hoping Ireland face All Blacks and Box face France in the quarters. That would be very, very tasty. That combination might result in an Ireland and Box final. It absolutely could. We'll have to wait and see. Right, we're back to the 5 meter. The Chileans overthrow. Unfortunately, it does fall to Ben Earl, who does a strong run up, taking him to just inside the English 22. So again, the Chileans not able to secure their own line-out ball, which has really let them down, unfortunately. Young's boxes, not his best. It's very, very high, completable, but it does go out into touch. So we will have a Chilean line-out about 38 meters out from the try line. Again, Chile just not having a great day in the office with their set piece. Scrums, they were able to tighten up, but their lineouts have been problematic all through the game. Speaking of, a Chilean lineout. Find their man, but does go down to the ground. Ribbons then collects. Now Joe Marler taking it into contact, supported by Jack Walker. Young's out to Forward to Farrell. Farrell to Smith. Smith takes it to the line. Smith with his pace accelerates through. It's 3-on-1. Smith feeds forward feeds back, or Youngs rather feeds back to Smith. Just tackled down short. Farrell to Earl. Earl trying to step his way through. There's tons of space and people out on the left here screaming for it. David Ribbons takes it into contact. Backs can't understand why they aren't getting the ball quicker. Youngs then looks right, but throws left. Martin goes forward. They do have a penalty advantage, the Chileans being offside. Youngs asks his big men to take over for just a bit, crash it round the corners and try it, suck in some defenders. England do have that penalty advantage. Here they come forward. Little dummy show and go. Smith over the line. Excellent work there from the English backs. Linking up nicely once again. The combination, I think, of having Ford, Smith, and Owen Farrell on the field is starting to look quite scary. Yes, it is against an emerging rugby nation. However, if they can get that right and use these opportunities to get that right, I think that could be something that they will look to implement more. Do you potentially look to start with a George Ford at 10, an Owen Farrell at 12, and a Marcus Smith at 15? But this was really good work here from the English team. And again, comes from the Chileans not able to secure their lineout. Really, really tough day in the office for the South Americans. About 2.5 minutes left. 62 points to nothing at the moment with the conversion to come. And no issues for Owen Farrell. Slots that one. So just the early penalties. He wasn't quite dialed in from the sideline. However, otherwise Owen Farrell has been quite good from the boot. Again, George Ford, just a bit of show and go and then gives it off. Nice work from the English fly half. Alfonso Botkin, welcome. Thanks so much for being a Forever Sports super fan. Channel member, we appreciate it. As we've got just a minute and a half to go in this clash between England and Chile. England able to secure that restart. Ben Earls now with ball in the hand. He'll look to try and run. Fresh legs, making an impact, makes a few meters. Youngs out to Ford to Farrell. Farrell then looks to kick. Bit of a nothing knee kick down the center. It won't quite go all the way out. So Chileans here will have to return it. They don't find touch. He's got to put his men on sides. Marcus Smith collects. Smith running sideways, looking for any holes to exploit. Finds a half gap. Earls is there to support. Nice work. Nice little link up there from the English team. Young's out to the right. David Ribbons, who I think has had an excellent game. He's done all the hard work. He's been excellent in the line-out. Young's then to Ford to Ollie Lawrence, who's also had a solid game. Wouldn't say outstanding, but solid. Walker then feeds excellently. Jack Willis, lovely hands from Will Stewart, I think it was, and gets Jack Willis over the try line for a try. Lovely work there from the English forwards. But what deft hands from Will Stewart. Really hope we see this in the replay. Yeah, they embrace. So Stewart takes it. Oh, lovely little pop. And Willis was running onto that. Excellent stuff. Right, Ronnie, excellent. Thank you, mate. Appreciate having you here. Enjoy the pub. Enjoy the big match. Can't watch this one without a beer. Yeah, that's exactly what I'll be doing after this stream. Getting some food and, as I said, standing around the TV. There's no ways I'm going to be able to sit down for this one. But, yeah, thanks, Ronnie. We'll see you next time. Make sure you tune in for Tonga, Scotland tomorrow. And, yeah, see you in the chat later on with Stevie P. Right, Owen Farrell does the final bit of the game and slots the conversion straight through. So that is 71 points to nothing. It is a convincing, a commanding victory from the English side, who were quicker to score than their previous game. Still took a while, but then once they got going, they really got going. Henry Arundel scoring 5 tries. So great outing for him on his Rugby World Cup debut. Marcus Smith scoring, I think, a couple as well. Theo Dan scoring a few. Everyone getting involved. The final try there going to Jack Willis, the flanker. So final score, 71 points to 0. The Chileans will be disappointed. I think they will know they've not done their best. David Ribbons, again, I think had a massive shift today. Right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, Wes, here on Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. If you're on any kind of social media, on Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, make sure you check me out. My time in Botswana, that's where I am at the moment. So it's Wildlife Wes, Wildlife_Wes. To just have a look at what I get up to when I'm not commentating on rugby. It would be great to connect with some of you on social media. Otherwise, it's been an absolute pleasure. As always, thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsors, BitDefender and BOYLESPORTS. And thank you to all of you for liking the video, subscribing, joining in, engaging in chat. Really, really helps us to bring you all this great coverage. Okay, time for the big one. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. Until tomorrow, I will see you with Scotland and Tonga. But until then, have a lovely night. Cheers for now. Potentially might need to contact our producer, but that's all right.